Well. It seems like that the microphones have been finding all of these ex-Dallas Cowboys. And the thing that is funny to me is that a lot of these ex-Dallas Cowboys, they always seem to have something negative to say about the Dallas Cowboys. But I believe that Jourdan Lewis may be a little bit different. Jourdan Lewis, rather than worried about trying to excoriate the Cowboys, Jourdan Lewis is only going to concern himself with telling the truth about his transition from the Dallas Cowboys to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Also today, we got a couple of more subject matters we're going to talk about. We got a contract issue that is actually brewing, and we're going to see what happens with that. And then we also have something interesting to talk about as it pertains to the schedule and the Cowboys run game. All of that and more on Let's Talk Cowboys, where we talk facts. What is going on, Dallas Cowboys fans? We finally have the sun out over here in the Dallas Metroplex. And no matter rain, sleet, or snow, or sunshine, it's always a great time to talk about our beloved Dallas Cowboys. Let's go. Let's get it. Welcome, Cowboy fans and Cowboy haters alike. I'm the G, and I'm the host of Let's Talk Cowboys, where we talk facts. And if you like this video, as you come into this live stream, please hit that like button, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you know the next time we post another video or go live. And yes, we are live. And if you haven't become a channel member subscriber yet, what are you waiting on? We have a lot of great things coming up this season. Now let's talk facts. Cowboys fans, Jourdan Lewis. A microphone found Jourdan Lewis. I actually haven't even listened to the podcast. This is going to be the first time I've actually heard it, as we are going to listen to it here today. So I'm very interested to hear what Jourdan Lewis has to say. Then we're going to talk a little bit about Jourdan Lewis Malachi Lawrence not signed yet. This has been going on for quite a minute here. Now, Brian Schottenheimer saying that he's not really worried, but you got to wonder what's going on with Malachi Lawrence. Then, man, I'm going to show y'all something crazy today about this schedule. I'm going to show you the best teams, best defensive teams versus the run. And when I show you those teams versus the Dallas Cowboys schedule, oh my gosh, boy, we are in for a heck of a season. It is going to be exciting. Then I'm going to see if I can kind of decipher this thing about turnover differential. I found somebody talking about this on X today, but it is a contributor to why the Cowboys have not won over the last 2 seasons. Then we're going to listen to these guys over on the herd talking about who's going to win the NFC East. Who is going to win the NFC East? And then we're going to talk about, I found something that is not Cowboys related, but it is Cowboys related. And they're talking about how coaching matters. Then I want to talk about this story about Brandon Sorsby, I think his name is, as it applies to one George Pickens. Then I'm going to talk about Josh Sweat. And then I have a couple of little bonus stories I think I'm going to throw in just for good measure. But hey, man, we got a packed show today. Hey, you know what? It's not a lot to talk about, but I do my best to find everything I can to talk about the Dallas Cowboys to keep us engaged, man, until we finally get to these real OTAs. All right, let's see who's in the chat today. Best chat on YouTube. Who we got today? What is going on? Dominic Pittman. He said Jerry Stephen always seems to let go of players that they should have kept and kept players for too long. They should have let go. Horrible mindset. You know what? I'm going to be honest with you, though, Dominic Pittman. I don't think it's a mindset issue. I think it's exactly what I heard somebody talking about the other day. that a lot of this stuff, it's kind of like a crapshoot. It's like a crapshoot. You know, there's no real science to some of it. You keep a guy you think that can replace a guy, or you let go of a guy that you didn't think was going to be that good. He goes on to be great somewhere else. I mean, there's no rhyme or reason to it. But I do get what you're saying. John Henry, what is going on? The Queen, what's going on? Carl Williams, Rena Zaguini, what is going on? Dak Owens, Thomas Goldring, what is going on? Attention, what's going on? Keith, what's going on? Dak Owens said, welcome to Let's Talk Cowboys, where we talk facts. Come in, hit the like button, let your opinion be heard, and also keep the chat clean. Yeah, Lynn from the 903. What up, Lynn? The Undertaker, what is going on? Good to see you. Mose Logan, what is going on? Yeah, I'm gonna get you through a couple hours, Mose Logan. Let's go. Texas boy B Mac Mackie, what is going on? Oak Cliff in the building. The Cliff. It's that Sax guy. What is going on? Enoch Taylor, what is going on? Demetrius Noel, always good to see you. What is going on? Blakey 12F, Gregory Davis in this thing. What is going on? Yes, sir, Dominique. Always good to see you as usual. Appreciate you. Backbreaker. What's up, Backbreaker? Jeremy Betts. Hail Mary. What's going on? Countryfield 84. Oddball JC. Bazzy 9. What's going on? Incognito. Let's get this show started, man. Let's get this show started. All right. Give yourselves a hand. Best chat on YouTube. And again, I do understand, though, what you're saying, though, Dominique. The Cowboys have done this. The Cowboys have in the past, especially, man, they have kept some players around way too long. Let some players go too quick, gave some contract extensions that they shouldn't have gave. I mean, the Cowboys have done some of these things in the past, and this is one of the things that has actually stopped them from being who they want to be, or has contributed to them not being who they want to be. I want to see if I can find something else here too, as we get to this Jourdan Lewis segment. Let me make sure I put a tag here. As we get to this Jourdan Lewis segment, I'm going to tell you something about Jerry Jones that I can absolutely appreciate. Jerry Jones has admitted on numerous occasions now. Jerry Jones admitted they made a mistake letting go of Jourdan Lewis. Jerry Jones has admitted it numerous times. They made a mistake. And they kept messing Jourdan Lewis around with these 1-year deals and all this old nonsense. And Jourdan Lewis, I mean, they really, I don't know if it was a devalue issue or what, but man, Jourdan Lewis has always been good for the Cowboys. This dude is a dog. He is an absolute dog when it comes to players. And the Cowboys, they're just now trying to figure out a way to replace him in the slot. I mean, when you get a cornerback as good as Jourdan Lewis is in the slot, I hope this is a lesson learned for Jerry and the Cowboys. You don't let go of a cornerback like that. Not to mention, Jourdan Lewis is a dog. I think he would have fit right in with everything that Christian Parker is trying to accomplish right now. All right, so let's get into this. Like I said, I haven't even heard it. I'm pretty sure
it's your first time.
I'm pretty sure it's might even be a longer discussion. So let's see if we can. I'm sure this is the meat and the potatoes of the discussion. So let's roll with it.
It's your first time free agency, right?
Yeah.
So
third.
Is it?
Third, yeah. This is my fourth contract.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what either keeps you retained or what gets you recruited?
Yeah.
Like what did the Cowboys do to retain you? And then what did the Jacksonville Jaguars do to recruit you?
So the Cowboys, I loved it. You know, I loved every second of being a Cowboy, you know, the good and the bad. You know, that's something that I thrived in. You know, I just thrived in, you know, people saying we weren't going to be this good, we weren't going to be that, and, you know, he's not that good. But I knew the type of people that I had around me, the type of teammates that I had, and I loved them, you know, like Dak, man. I love Dak. I love the type of leader he is. I love the type of player he is. I mean, he's gone through so much and he fights back every single time. So I'm like, man, I believe in a quarterback, and you need that in the NFL. You have to believe in a quarterback. That's like number one.
Wow. Wow. You don't let go of a player like this. We talked about mentality yesterday. You can't manufacture this mentality that this man just described. This man basically said that he did not get distracted by any of the things that went on within the organization of the Dallas Cowboys. That he actually thrived in an environment where people were always doubting the team, downing the team, doubting the quarterback going through adversity. Truly believed in Dak Prescott as a quarterback. Man, how do you let a guy like this go, man? Wow. This is the exact mentality that you want on your football team. This is the mentality. Whew! Man, let me tell you something now. Now, I'm not in this situation. I mean, I'm not in this situation. But sometimes you date a girl, or sometimes a young lady dates a man, and they're the right one, and they make some stupid decisions, do some boneheaded things, say some boneheaded things, and they look at that person always as the one that got away. Now, again, I'm not in this situation. I wasn't going to let my wife get away. But nevertheless, there are people, man. I've heard these stories of people who talk about the one that got away. And Rico Jones, I think you're right, my brother. Jerry Jones has admitted Jourdan Lewis is the one that got away. And letting Jourdan Lewis go was a mistake because of the mentality, the type of player that he is on the field. I mean, we saw this dude go toe-to-toe with George Pickens, man. We saw this dude go toe-to-toe with George Pickens, man. It's a different type of dude right here, man. It's a different type of dude right here. Just to hear him talk about he loved the team overall, loved Dak Prescott, loved being a Dallas Cowboy. And Jerry Jones has admitted it more than once. Jerry Jones has admitted he regrets letting go of Jourdan Lewis.
Have to believe in the quarterback, and I believed in him. And I believed in, you know, the support staff. And I had a really good rapport with the support staff. Like Britt Brown. He's one of the guys that helped me when I had an injury, a real bad injury, my first Liz Frank. He's the one that pushed me through doing that. And, you know, Coach Harold and Coach Warsick, a legendary weight and strength and conditioning coach that taught me how to, you know, Olympic lift. I didn't know how to Olympic lift until I got into the NFL.
Wow.
Exactly. So
deadlifts and snatches,
hang cleans and stuff like that. He taught me. He taught me in the NFL.
Why did you need that to do Olympic lifts?
So it teaches you how to be explosive, and it gets your, you know, posterior chain in to where it's all in sync to where you can be explosive, and it translates to the field to being a better athlete. Yeah. And driving through tackles, you know, bursting your first burst. So I saw myself getting faster in the NFL, and I just believed in the program that they had. And, you know, after a while, you know, things get missed in translation. They feel like, you know, your value isn't that much, and, you know, you're getting older, and it's just like, okay, we can supplement that with different players. We always had great players, and they feel like, you know, it was my time to you know, move in that shuffle in Jackson.
Okay, now let's catch something that he's saying right here, so we don't just destroy the Cowboys in this conversation. But just kind of listening to him talk, the question seemed to be about maybe some of it was related to health. It was related to health of whether or not he could stay healthy, because you know how those Liz Frank injuries are. Man, you know, you start messing with the feet of a wide receiver, cornerback, especially those type of players, running backs. It's bad news. So he's kind of referring to that whole issue of, you know, he did have a couple of injuries in his career, and maybe that's kind of where they made that huge mistake, thinking that, you know, and let's think about this. Jerry made the same mistake with DeMarcus Ware. He made the same mistake, y'all, with DeMarcus Ware. Do y'all remember this? Same mistake. And so in thinking that Jourdan Lewis wasn't going to be healthy, well, Jourdan Lewis remained healthy. And as a matter of fact, the year they let him go, he was healthy. So the Cowboys, I believe, once again, wanted to get him on another one of those, okay, prove it deals again. And Jourdan Lewis, you know, it's the same thing when you lose that girl or guy. You know what I'm saying? You lose that girl or that guy, and what winds up happening is, while you sitting around trying to decide if you want to be with him, somebody else swoops in and says, this is great for me. And so basically what happened is the Jacksonville Jaguars swooped in. Jacksonville Jaguars swooped in and they got Jourdan Lewis. Hold on, let me pull up something else here. I'll pull this up after Jourdan Lewis, but I'm going to let you hear Jerry Jones. But check out Jourdan Lewis a little bit more.
Bill saw the value in a guy, a veteran that could go in and understand how to work, understand how to, you know, fight through adversity and fight up top. So I feel like that's what Jacksonville saw in me. And
now let me tell you something. I'm relating this to relationships. I want you to think about what Jourdan Lewis is saying. And this is, you ever heard that old story? One man's trash is another man's treasure. And you think about, sometimes you got that girl or you got that guy, and you know, you're doing stupid things, making stupid mistakes. And what you don't realize is there is somebody who's probably been watching them and might have even been watching them with you, saying, boy, if I ever got the chance, if I get my chance, if they ever break up, thinking things like that, man, you mess around and just taking your time with the right one, somebody will come right along and they will snag them, and they will be everything they can be with that person rather than you. Yeah, he got hurt in Jacksonville, Devin Mills. I don't think he played, the last 3 games? I don't think he played the last 3 games. But I'll tell you this, Devin Mills, losing Jourdan Lewis did hurt, though. And the reason why I know that it hurt is, I'm going to let you hear Jerry Jones talk about it. Jerry Jones realized after Jourdan Lewis, Jerry Jones actually realized that, oh man, this is, not having Jourdan Lewis is actually not a good thing. Jerry realized that. All right, let me see if I can pull this up with Jourdan Lewis. I'm going to let you hear what Jerry Jones said about Jourdan Lewis. Jerry realized it. Jerry realized he had made a mistake. He realized how hard it is to replace a player. And I'm going to tell y'all again, I'm not even asking as much about Jourdan Lewis. It's not even just the play of Jourdan Lewis. It's the mentality of Jourdan Lewis. That's the part that you struggle with replacing. That's the part you struggle with replacing. A guy who has the mentality made of the right things. This is Jerry Jones. Let me show you this article. This was written back in March the 2nd, 2026. This is when Jerry had everybody on the bus on his luxury cruiser. And Jerry Jones, he starts name dropping. And one of the names that Jerry Jones dropped was none other than Jourdan Lewis. Says here, 83-year-old owner, while sitting down with reporters aboard his luxury bus at the scouting combine in Indianapolis last week, expressed particular regret over the 2025 departure of veteran cornerback Jourdan Lewis. Yeah. He says, we let our nickel cornerback get out of here last year. Jones reminded when asked whether the team would be approaching free agency differently this offseason. We have a little bit more appreciation for where we are at nickel or aren't at nickel. Yeah, you never miss a good thing, as that old song goes. You never miss a good thing until it's gone. This is Jerry Jones.
It's not the nickel. Our nickel, we let our nickel get out of here last year. If we have a little more appreciation for where we are at nickel or aren't at nickel, you wouldn't get out this year. So bottom line is we have the benefit of that. Now let's look at it. But those combinations of things really put us, to my mind, of where we are. Obviously, I can say no on anything. And so with that in mind, do I say no or yes? Just because I've decided to turn that over and be no and no. You know I don't. And I have a lot of input on what we're doing. Last year, if I had it to do over again, then we would probably, looking at the tea leaves, then we probably would have done some things in free agency. Okay.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. Yeah, Jerry's basically saying, man, Jourdan Lewis is a mistake. They're just now getting in a situation to maybe they have Jourdan Lewis replaced, and the way they're probably going to have him replaced is, again, we'll see what happens with the depth chart. But DaRon Bland plays really good inside, but I don't think he wants to play inside. We'll see if Kobe Durant plays some inside, but what they've done so far, you can even line Caleb Downs up sometimes in the slot, because you'll be able to have Jourdan Lewis. You will be able to have Jalen Thompson, and you will be able to have Malik Hooker, and you will be able to play Caleb Downs in the slot from time to time. You'll be able to do a lot of different things with one Caleb Downs. Jabril said, do you think that's the reason why they kept DaRon Bland? I think they kept DaRon Bland not so much because of Jourdan Lewis, but I think they don't want to make a mistake with DaRon Bland to say, we're willing to let DaRon Bland go, and then DaRon Bland goes somewhere else. Similar to Jourdan Lewis, DaRon Bland goes somewhere else and he becomes a superstar. For example, letting him go to the Commanders with Dan Quinn. So yeah, I guess you could say that, Jabril. Bass said losing Lawrence, Lewis, and Parsons hurt this roster a lot, and Diggs not being healthy hurt too. 4 players rocked us. Now, I'm going to say this, though, Bass. But I don't think the Cowboys regret losing those other 3 players. They didn't regret losing those other 3 players, because I believe that Jourdan Lewis is different than those 3 players. Jourdan Lewis actually said he loved it in Dallas. Bass, guess what? DeMarcus Lawrence didn't love it in Dallas. DeMarcus Lawrence didn't love it in Dallas. And DeMarcus Lawrence didn't love it in Dallas because of how Michael Parsons came in and basically took his place. It was nothing to do with Dallas as far as DeMarcus Lawrence. We heard DeMarcus Lawrence in 2023, he's tired and all these different things. DeMarcus Lawrence had a lot of animosity towards the Cowboys. Number two, Trayvon Diggs. Cowboys have no regrets with Trayvon Diggs. None. No regret with Trayvon Diggs. How can you have regrets for Trayvon Diggs? Trayvon Diggs signed a contract and basically barely played any games under that contract. Barely any games. And even last year, as I kept saying, and people were saying that it wasn't true, even with Trayvon Diggs playing semi-injured or not being 100%, he was still somewhat of a distraction. Still somewhat of a distraction. Michael Parsons, we already knew it was, James Slater had reported that there was talks in the building about trading Michael Parsons a year or two before. And there were a lot of people who were actually for that trade of Michael Parsons. But Jourdan Lewis is different. They actually regret letting go of Jourdan Lewis. They regret letting go of Jourdan Lewis. Those other players, they don't regret. DeMarcus Lawrence, they don't care if he went and got a Super Bowl. He wasn't going to do it in Dallas. Because in Dallas, they wanted DeMarcus Lawrence to be the man. He couldn't be the man. He went to Seattle where he wasn't the man. He went to a very, very, very good defense, to where he was more of a luxury item and an extra movable chess piece in a sense, more than a player that you couldn't live without. So the Cowboys don't regret those other three players. And that is the huge difference between Jourdan Lewis and those other three players, because Jerry flat out said it. I mean, you just heard it. Jerry will make excuses about DeMarcus Lawrence. Actually, I mean, they've made a ton of excuses about Michael Parsons. Trayvon Diggs, they've made no excuses. They're glad he's gone pretty much. Jourdan Lewis, he's the one player that Jerry Jones, you just heard him. Jerry Jones came straight out and said, made a mistake with Jourdan Lewis. Yeah, made a mistake. What up, Big Mouse Dog? Bazzy9 said no regret with Diggs because of the type of person he is. Bad attitude, good riddance. Yeah, they don't regret those players. Even with Michael Parsons, they don't regret Michael Parsons, especially now when you look at what they got for Michael Parsons. They don't regret it. And I'm telling y'all now, don't be fooled. Brian Schottenheimer was a part of Michael Parsons getting out of here. Brian Schottenheimer was a part of, don't think for a second that Brian wasn't a part of it. I guarantee you, just knowing Brian Schottenheimer, he did not appreciate a lot of the sideline antics that Michael Parsons was doing, coming onto the field with nachos, laying on the table for just, even if it was for 20 seconds. And he didn't like that stuff. He didn't like that stuff. But again, no regrets on those other three players. But yeah, they regretted getting rid of Jourdan Lewis. Jourdan Lewis is the right kind of player. Right kind of mental DNA. He's the kind of player that you don't want to lose. Hindsight is 20/20. Thankfully, the Cowboys now, they've got Caleb Downs, they got Jalen Thompson, and let's not forget P.J. Locke. I believe P.J. Locke is going to come in here too and try to get himself on the field. Man, I'm going to create something here over the next couple of days about these training camp. I talked about it already in the past. I told y'all when we looked at the roster how there was going to be some great battles that I'm looking forward to coming up in training camp. Well, I'm working on putting together like an entire graph of the battles that we're going to see in training camp that's absolutely going to help this team progress faster than teams in the past have progressed under the new defensive coordinators. What's going on, Daquan Frazier? Good to see you. Jabril, we're about to talk about it. Cowboy Mike 32, what's going on? He said Diggs was bad energy for the team. Parsons was acting childish, and I'm glad Jerry closed down 7-11. Never heard that before, 7-11. Yes, sir. They don't regret those players being gone. But Jourdan Lewis, they regret it. They regret it. Texas boy B. Mackey, he said that was a sad day when we traded Micah, but I got to admit, we definitely won that trade. It looks like it on paper so far. So far, so good. And I'm looking forward to really materialize this coming year, Texas boy B. Mackey. All right, so let's transition over to Malachi Lawrence. And I'll be honest with you, I don't even have a lot of information on this, and I don't think anyone else does either. I'm just going to give you what I got on Malachi Lawrence. But I do not like the fact that Malachi Lawrence is not signed yet. I do not like the fact. What is going on with Malachi Lawrence? And I'm thinking that it's got something to do with this whole thing about the other players that may have signed around his time and trying to make sure that he gets a contract that is equal to theirs or whatever the case may be. It's some of this goggly goop stuff they're talking about. I'm just going to give you what I got on this. I mean, I've been kind of seeing this brewing, but I'm just kind of hoping that it's a nothing burger. I'm hoping that it turns into absolutely nothing. But hey, where there's a little bit of smoke, there has to be some fire. And so let's kind of look over here about this thing with Malachi Lawrence not being signed. Let's see what they're talking about. Let me see here. The Undertaker X said Lawrence hasn't signed yet, waiting for the other defensive ends first. Yeah, signed their contracts just like Easy did last year. Yeah, I think what they're doing is trying to make sure, for the most part, that these contracts are all kind of within the same range. They don't want somebody undercutting or overpaying somebody. And I think that's what they're kind of explaining on this. Let's look over here on, they actually wrote about this on DallasCowboys.com. Somebody sent into the mailbag impact of Lawrence not signing yet. Says, based on the culture head coach Brian Schottenheimer is continuing to build, do you see an impact of Malachi Lawrence holding out on signing his rookie contract? Now, I don't see a problem yet. But it says here, Brian Schottenheimer said none at all. He said, don't forget that this is very normal every year. And it did happen with Donovan Ezeraku. Says it used to be the third round picks for so long, and now it's the second round, guys. These agents just want to make sure they don't sign too early and mess up the rest of the salary for the guys around them. Yeah, that's kind of what they're doing. And it's not just the agents, it's the teams too. The teams aren't wanting to try to price somebody so high that then all of a sudden all these other agents and players start trying to get the high price. And then you don't want to price them so low that you cause a holdout and a stink by not only your player, but maybe some other people too. It says, but also it's not a holdout until the start of camp. True. Lawrence will be able to go through all of the OTAs and mini camp and can be in the building and do everything. My understanding is that he just can't practice at training camp if he is still unsigned. I wish he would go ahead and get signed. It says, as for him personally, I get the impression that he's a sponge that only wants to get better and better. Our staff writer, Tommy Yarish, wrote a really good informative article this weekend on Lawrence. Talking to his UCF coaches, I get the sense that Lawrence is going to do everything he can do to make sure he's ready to roll when the season starts. But I would also bet the contract is done long before the end. Oh, yeah, no doubt. No doubt. It says here, even though he is Dallas's only 2026 draft pick, not to sign yet, Lawrence's current contract situation isn't having any impact on team's culture and what Schottenheimer is trying to do. There are specific restrictions set within the collective bargaining agreement on how much each rookie can make based on his draft position. The higher the draft slot, the higher the paycheck. Seems simple, right? However, there are a few items that can be negotiated, such as guaranteed money, which is where the Cowboys and Malachi Lawrence stand right now. Although they're not alone, around the league, 15 of the top 21 overall picks have signed, but none of the rookies selected lower in the first round, numbers 22 to 32, have inked a deal. I see what they're doing. Yep, I see what they're doing. So these guys between 22 and 32, they're trying to get paid. It says even though they basically have no leverage, they're all waiting to see how things play out. Once one signs on the dotted line, the other dominoes should fall pretty quick. So what they're looking for and waiting for is for somebody to set the bar. That's what they're waiting on. Says in the meantime, it's been business as usual for the coaching staff and players. Lawrence has been attending all workouts and meetings, as well as generally being around to soak up Schottenheimer's culture. In other words, Cowboy fans can move right along. There's nothing to see here, Kurt. Yeah. I was about to say, I thought I'd been seeing him. He just isn't signed yet, but he's been around. Yeah, he's been around. So the rubber is going to meet the road here pretty soon. The rubber is going to meet the road here pretty soon, and we'll see what happens. Yeah, Bazzy 9, I remember that last year happened with the Bengals' first round pick. Yep. And I'm going to tell you what these guys do too. Bazzy 9. One of the things they're doing is the NFL stands for National Football League. It's also known as in the Not for Long League. It's known for Not for Long. And so the reason why these guys come in as rookies, especially when they're these high draft picks, they want to get that money settled because it could be the last contract they ever get. Nothing is promised. It could be the last contract they ever get. Injury could happen. Lord forbid. They could be an absolute draft bust. Lord forbid. So many different things could happen. So these rookies who are coming in, they're really, really smart. Solidify that bag, man. Solidify that bag. Do it. Don't ever think that I'm gonna have I'm gonna have a 15, 20, I'm gonna have a 10-year, 15-year career. This contract doesn't matter. No, it matters. Yeah, it matters. There is no doubt about it. That contract absolutely matters. And so, it's important to get that first contract right. I understand what they're doing. It's called the football business. What's going on, Ruffin? Let me show you. I'll put the topics back up here on the screen. Welcome to the congregation today. So that is why Malachi Lawrence is not yet signed, but I don't think it's anything to worry about for the Cowboys. What is going on, Mark Davis? What is going on in the fragrance world? How's it going over there? How's it going in the fragrance world? Lost in translation. What is going on? Good to see you, my man. Good to see you. Let me see. Bass, he said, I see the defense being way more physical. Me too. Than last year. Just hope it all molds well for the roster and translates into wins with the postseason. Now, Bass, I think it's all going to work out for the Cowboys. But again, the offense, Bass, and you tell me what you think, but Bass, I do believe that the offense will have to carry this defense early. I think it'll have to carry it somewhat early. And then somewhere around what I'm calling the Philly to Philly part. I think when they get to the Philly to Philly part, I think that's where they're going to really get their legs up on them. We're about to look at the schedule here in just a moment. I believe this defense will get their legs up under them in that particular part. They will get their legs up under them, and then I think they'll take off somewhere around in that little 6-game phase, because those are the perfect teams that once you start getting it together, those will be the perfect teams for that defense to start teeing off. And then the way they fixed the last part of the Cowboys schedule with all of those different breaks in there and things like that, I mean, they'll get time to just get their body together and get ready for a really good run down the stretch. So I think it's going to be good. I think it's going to be good. Yes, sir. Ruffin, yes, sir, man. I'm going to put something on my other channel about the Jackson Dart thing. I'm watching what's kind of going on watching what's going on with the Jackson Dart thing. A lot of people don't realize, man, people have, religious, different religious beliefs, different political beliefs, and they get along just fine and can be great friends. I mean, we just have to learn, man, just how to respect each other's decisions. Respect is the key word, man. Respect is the key word for everybody. Everybody just got to learn how to respect everybody and just learn how to respect people's decisions. And, you can't make nobody's decisions but your own. Respect it. And, respect is given. One of the things that so bothers me about social media is that everybody's always trying to get respect rather than give respect. We got to learn how to give respect more than, give respect. Treat people how you want to be treated. Don't mean they're going to treat you like that, but treat people how you want to be treated. But again, I tell you, I'm telling you, Bass, I do think the defense is going to pick up right in that Philly to Philly phase, because that'll be the perfect spot, because they're going to play some teams that should be somewhat weaker than what they faced in the first 6 games. They should face some teams that should be somewhat weaker, and that way they should be able to really get their football legs up under them. And I think they should hit their stride right there around in that phase, and then they'll get that little Thanksgiving run, and I think they're going to be good to go. I think they'll be good to go. And when we talk about the defense good to go, we're not talking about a top 5 defense. You ain't talking about no top 5 defense. I don't think Cowboys are thinking about a top 5 defense. I think what they're probably looking at is if we can get this thing somewhere around mid-pack, we're going to be fine. I believe that's what their thought process is. All right, man, let's move on to another segment. Boy, this is a doozy right here.
Yes! Here we go!
This segment right here, man. So somebody dropped something over on X. And they were talking about teams versus the run and how good certain teams were against the run. And one of the things that struck me, let me pull up the Dallas Cowboys schedule once again. Boy, and I've been telling y'all this in so many words. Let me remind y'all of what I told you. I've been saying that in this schedule, it is important that the Cowboys have George Pickens. It's very important the Cowboys have George Pickens. Because we're actually going to play teams this season that they're actually going to be able to do some things that teams couldn't do last year. We're going to play some teams with defenses that are going to be very good. They're going to be able to take away George Pickens, CeeDee Lamb simultaneously, or they'll be able to take away CeeDee Lamb and Javonte Williams simultaneously, or George Pickens and Javonte Williams simultaneously, or could possibly even take away, dare I say, all 3 in some form or fashion. And a lot of people are saying the Cowboys have really got to get their run game to be a lot better. I don't disagree with that per se, but I actually think it's more important for Brian Schottenheimer to evolve his passing game. Shotty has to evolve his passing game. Shotty has got to fix it to where teams can't take away George or CeeDee Lamb. He's got to figure out more ways to put them in motion, line them up on the same side, deep post, deep outs. I mean, he's got to figure out different crossing routes. I mean, anything you name. Tight end, now that we got a very versatile tight end like a Trigg, lining him up out there in the slot. Really keeping defenses off balance. Because I'm going to show you something that is related to the Cowboys schedule. And this is mind-blowing when you look at this. Somebody put together today the toughest defenses against the run. And then I thought about something what I told you just now, and then I started thinking about the Cowboys schedule. And I'm about to show you something that is going to blow your mind. Watch this. These are the teams that are very good against the run. Hold on a second. Best defenses against the run. Tell me what do you see that jumps out when you look at this list? Y'all tell me what jumps out at you. What jumps out at you when you see this list? What jumps out? What jumps out for those of you who can see the screen? What's going on, Brandy? What jumps out at y'all when y'all see this? Brother Holman, what up? Eric Folk, what up? What's going on, Jack Edmonds? What do y'all see when y'all see this list? What jumps out at you when you see this list? When you see this list, and if you've seen the Dallas Cowboys schedule, what jumps out to you? Baz, he says, stupid, stupid, stupid. But I'm going to go a little bit more where King Gresh is. We play almost every one of these teams. Do y'all realize of the teams that were good against the run in 2025, and their defenses are still good? The Houston Texans, we're playing them. The Seattle Seahawks, we're playing them. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, we're playing them. The Rams, we're playing them. The Jaguars, we're playing them. The Baltimore Ravens, we are playing them. We will be going against 6 of the toughest teams against the run. This is why it is imperative. It is imperative for the Dallas Cowboys to evolve their passing game. We have to evolve the passing game. The Cowboys cannot step on the field in 2026 and do what they did in 2025. Okay, and let me go back. So if we got 6 of them, and I was debating, okay, do we play the Lions? I don't think we play the Lions. Yeah, we don't play the Lions this year. But we play 6 of these teams who are very good against the run. And I'm telling you right now, Houston Texans, they are monsters against the run. Seattle Seahawks, young defense, very good against the run. Buccaneers, very good against the run. I'm just telling you, we have got to evolve this passing game. We have got to evolve this passing game. Not only must we evolve this passing game, I know some people don't like the quote-unquote thunder and lightning type of running game. I don't care what anybody likes. I'm just telling you what the Cowboys need. If the Cowboys are only going to try to run, if their only way of running is between the A gaps, they're not going to be successful this year. No, they got to figure out a way. You can call it thunder, lightning, or anything you want to. The Cowboys have got to figure out a way. Let me tell you where the Cowboys need to really open up and evolve this offense. They need to get an outside run game. They absolutely need to get an outside run game. You will be destroyed by teams if you don't have an outside run game. You got to get an outside run game. Not only do you need an outside run game, you need a screen game. Cowboys screen game trash. Cowboys screen game trash. They got to get better in the screen game. The screen game looked so foreign to us this year. It was like we couldn't run screens. Man, the way you stop a defense that is aggressively rushing the passer and sending everybody at the quarterback. You want to know how to stop them? Screen game. Screen game will stop them in their tracks. Screen game. Our screen game has been weak, man. We got to get better at the screen game. And we cannot allow our run game to just be between the A gaps. If we're going to do that again, we're not going to make it. You got to evolve that run game. I'm not concerned about people who don't like thunder and lightning. Well, you got to have an outside run game. And that's not Javonte Williams' strong suit. Javonte Williams is a one move and go. That's Javonte Williams. Every now and then he may hit you with 2 or 3. But if you look at most of his runs, they're straight ahead or they're one move, hit the gap, and he starts knocking people around everywhere else. Well, I got news for you. That ain't going to work. That ain't going to work. Demetrius Noel said, no respect, those are last year's numbers. I'm not worried about the numbers, Demetrius Noel. These defenses that I have on this screen. So you're going to tell me that you think that there's a decline going to be on the Houston Texans defense? Nah, man, Houston Texans defense is crazy. That what we're looking at on this screen, I can only tell you one team. Let me read the rest of what you wrote here. You said, no one really knows what any of these teams will look like come season opener. I respect your opinion, but sports is a game of glorious uncertainty. Demetrius Noel, I think there is some certainty in this game. There are 5 of those defenses that I can think of, 5 of them, that those defenses are going to be, if not the same, they're going to be better. The Houston Texans, there is no slowing down the Houston Texans. The Houston Texans may arguably actually have the best overall physical defense in football. There is no slowing down for the Houston Texans. Seattle Seahawks, #1 overall defense last year. Tell me who they lost. Tell me who they lost up front. We're talking about running. Houston Texans up front. They are devastating. Seattle Seahawks up front. Buccaneers. And I'm telling y'all right now, I know a lot of people are saying, they are saying that Caleb Downs is going to be the defensive, the rookie defensive player of the year. I'm telling y'all right now. I'm telling y'all right now. I love Caleb Downs. But I'm telling you, watch Ruben Bain Jr. Ruben Bain Jr. is going to be disgusting this season. There is no rookie in this league that will have the chip on their shoulder the size of Ruben Bain Jr. Ruben Bain Jr. is going to be a monster on defense. You watch what I tell you. I am not going to be surprised if Ruben Bain Jr. actually gets the defensive rookie of the year. I'm not going to be surprised. But again, when I look at these defenses, the only one, Demetrius, that I could agree with you on is the Baltimore Ravens. I don't really know what they're going to look like, brand new coach and some of the things that they have going on. But the Jaguars, guess what? I got news for us all. Unless the Jaguars were a one-hit wonder, the Jaguars' trajectory isn't down. The Jaguars' trajectory is up. The Rams, we already know what they are. Well-coached team, offensively and defensively. Both of those. I'm not telling you we should be afraid because I like the challenge. And this is why I'm saying they have got to evolve that passing game. They're going to have to evolve that screen game. They have to evolve that run game. Because Shotty don't get the benefit that he had last season. People didn't really know what he was going to do. Well, now we all pretty much know what Shotty is. Shotty, he's not going to run hardly any outside runs. He's not going to run any screen game. He's going to pound you between the A gaps over and over and over and over. He's going to try to run between Cooper Beebe, Ty Smith, Ty Booker. That's where he's going to run because that's where his strength is. His weakness is Tyler Guyton, so he's not going to run a lot of outside runs where Tyler Guyton is. Terrence Steele will run you over. He might run some outside runs if possible with with Terrence Steele to the outside on the right. But for the most part, he's got to come out different. Slants to George Pickens, everybody's going to be looking for that. Everybody is going to be looking for every single thing that Brian Schottenheimer did this year. Man, these defense coordinators in this league are smart. They study teams. They study quarterbacks. They study tendencies. And now with all this artificial intelligence we have going on, we talked about it yesterday. They're going to be studying those things. Now artificial intelligence will give them a shortcut to look at what the tendency of teams are. And we don't even need artificial intelligence to know what the tendency of Brian Schottenheimer was last year. Brian's got to evolve. Brian has to evolve. Because these defenses, Demetrius, I could agree with you on Baltimore. The uncertainty is with Baltimore. Houston Texans, nah, man, well coached. DeMeco Ryans, well coached. That defense is going to be nasty. Seattle Seahawks, well coached. Defense is going to be nasty. They've also added Dante Fowler. I think they lost a couple of players back there in the secondary. But believe me, well coached. Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm not a big fan of their coach as a head coach, but he's pretty good defensively, especially as you can see as it applies to stopping the run. Again, Rams, well coached. Jaguars, well coached. We're facing 5 of these teams. Shotty got to evolve. That's all I'm saying. No fear. I'm not telling us this that we should be afraid. I'm just saying with what we are playing, man, the boys going to have to do a little something. They're going to have to turn it up. What's going on, Brandon? Appreciate that super chat. Brandon said, Jerry, whatever you did to Goodell, apologize because the schedule is diabolical. Brandy, I told you, I'm going to tell you again. That schedule is actually really good for the Cowboys. That schedule is actually set up for the Cowboys to succeed. Now, don't get me wrong, Brandy, that schedule got some diabolical spots. It absolutely has some diabolical spots. But when you look at it overall, that schedule is set up for the Cowboys to succeed, especially down the stretch. Let me read some of these comments. Y'all got me rolling in the comments. Bass said, run blue to the steel side. There it is. Run him to the steel side. That's, yeah. And scheme that up more so Javonte not getting gas when we need him. Yeah. Yeah, because you ain't going to run to the left. I'm just not sure of Guyton overall. What's up, we them boys? What is going on? Texas B-boy. Texas boy B Mac, he says still okay in the run. It's just his pass blocking. Yeah. He'll roll you over in the run game. He'll knock you out the frame, man. Cowboy Mike said Bain will be just like Will Anderson, man. I'm telling you. Reuben Bain Jr., I think he's going to be the defensive rookie of the year. He's going to be nasty, man. Poopy D said we have to come out aggressive on offense. I agree with that, too. David Castillo, he says Shorty is Shotty is a dinosaur. I hope he steps it up this year. Bad said hopefully the TIA has made a man out of Guyton. We're going to see. Poopy D said Todd Bowles. Yeah, he good. He good. I'm struggling with him as a head coach, though. But as a defensive coach, I think he's pretty good. Bass, Jags were 13-4 last season, or something like that. They not to be slept on. No, they good. Hey, their trajectory is going up. They're not declining. The only team on that list that I could see that could possibly be declining, it would actually be the Baltimore Ravens. I'm actually not going to be surprised if the Cowboys beat the Baltimore Ravens. I'm not going to be surprised if they beat the Baltimore Ravens. Yeah, 13 weeks, no break. We're going to look at that schedule in just a moment. I'm going to point it out and show you again. No, I think they gave the boys a really good advantage out there. Yeah, I believe it too, Football Fanatic. Book it. Defense will be much improved. There will be blood. He said, gee, sounds like Shotty has a little bit of Eberflus in that mindset of constantly trying to pound when it ain't there. Yeah, I mean, if you stop him running up the middle, Shotty folds. Shotty folds because there's no versatility in his run game. He folds. Yeah, now, Texas boy. Now, the 3 games in the beginning, not so much of a big deal. The Thanksgiving thing, the Cowboys are used to it. So the way they put it, I'm not really worried about it. Demetrius Noel said, gee, all I'm saying is remember that what happened to Denver, every team has 3% chance of winning Super Bowl. I got you there. Yeah. And every team is one injury away from a disappointing and catastrophic season. Well, let's preface this, Demetrius. Barring injuries. Because this is the great equalizer. I've said this before. And the Dallas Cowboys are going to actually run into some of this early in the season. To win championships, you need a great team. You need health. And the third one that I always talk about, man, you need luck. People may not realize it, but you need some luck to win a Super Bowl too. You need the referees to make some calls to go your way. You need some of those. Ask Tom Brady. Tom Brady isn't the only one. Ask other teams. You need the referees to call some plays your way that when we go back and look at them after the game and go, that actually wasn't that. Ask the Green Bay Packers. Dez Bryant was a catch. They were able to progress because they got lucky that the referees made a bad call. You need luck. You also need the luck of that when you play certain teams, maybe their star player is injured, dare I say. You don't want that to happen. But sometimes the way things fall, you get lucky. Maybe your team is missing its best wide receiver, missing the quarterback, missing the running back, missing the left tackle. I mean, you need a combination of things to win a Super Bowl. And as a matter of fact, if you go back and look at the New England Patriots from last season, not only did the New England Patriots have an easy schedule, they had an easy schedule because of the quarterbacks they were playing against. I mean, it's like you can't script it any luckier than what they got. You need some luck. You need some luck. You need a great team. You need health, and you need luck. You need those 3 things. The Cowboys are going to get lucky in the first 3 games, I believe. They're going to get lucky. The New York Giants, I don't think they're going to be at full strength. I don't think Scatty Boo is going to be back. The Scatty Boo's not going to be back. I don't think Malik Neighbors is going to be back. Thibodeau should be traded by then. One of their other defensive players tore an Achilles, I believe. Man, sometimes you just get doggone lucky. And when you have hard work, when you practice right and you play right, and when you come up against somebody who's missing somebody, guess what? You tear them limb from limb. Bottom line, you tear them limb from limb. It's not your fault. It's not your fault. You tear them limb from limb. Luck also has to meet opportunity. You just can't get lucky and say the players are hurt. No, you got to be able to execute too. You got to be able to execute when a team is down. And when they're down, you stomp them. Bottom line, ain't my fault you hurt. Tear them up. Tear them up and tear them down. But, man, I'm telling you, Javonte Williams had a great year last year. Javonte Williams had a great year. And the Cowboys got him for a Boy, when you look at what the Cowboys got this man for. This man was 9th in yards, 9th in carries, 9th in touchdowns. I mean, he should be getting paid way more, but again, he wants to stay in Dallas. And going somewhere else, I'm pretty sure he weighed out the atmosphere in Dallas. I'm sure he weighed out the state tax in Dallas. I'm sure he weighed out the cost of living, the taxes in general. He wanted to stay with the Cowboys. But when you look at what he did last year, 16 games, 1,201 yards, 83.6 yards per game, I believe, 13 touchdowns, 4.8 yards per carry, longest run, 66, receiving yards, 137, receptions, 2.2 per game, carries 15.8, I guess, per game, targets 3.2, longest 14, I guess that's the passing, receiving yards, average 3.9. I mean, we see where we need work in the defense, in the running back game. Javonte is not that in the run, in the passing game. He's not that in the passing game, but he's all that in the run game. So you got to get somebody to make up for some of this stuff to where he is not in the passing game. Cowboys have got to really work on that screen game this year. Got to work on that running back in the passing game this year because, you can't have your star running back, only 137 receiving yards, I believe that is. If that's what you're going to do, you got to get another running back in there to help him do it. Yep, Bazzy 9 asked the Bills about luck and calls from the refs. No doubt. You need it. It is. Yep, Eric Folks, luck and opportunity runs hand in hand. Yeah. you got to have it. Got to have it. Demetrius Noel said, what are the chances the Cowboys are going to get any help from those officials that are programmed to hate the Cowboys? Demetrius Noel, what if it's their year to be programmed for us? Demetrius Noel, me and my son, we were having a conversation at lunch on Sunday, and he's a big wrestling fan. And we always tease him about wrestling is fake, and he tells us that wrestling isn't fake. He says wrestling isn't fake. They just know the outcome of the wrestling match. He said they just know the outcome before the match starts. So you think about things being fake or fixed or whatever, and I told him, and he said, yeah, and he said the NFL is fake. And I just told him straight out. I said, I tell you what, as long as they fake the Cowboys all the way to the Super Bowl, I don't care. Because if the NFL is fake, they've been faking everybody else to the Super Bowl. Demetrius Noel, it's time for us to be fake to the Super Bowl too. It's time for us to be faked all the way to the Super Bowl too, man. Hey, let me tell you something. Maybe it's our time, Cowboys fans. Maybe it is absolutely our time. And I am looking forward to this season because it might absolutely be our time. Maybe our time. All right, let's moving right along here because I got quite a few topics. Man, I got topics that's not even on here that I'm gonna have to probably save. Let me see. Turnover differential. We'll make this one into a quick hit. Somebody put something up about this turnover differential. I'm gonna see if I can decipher this thing. Y'all gotta forgive me. Some of this stuff I don't look at before I come on. I kind of like that element of surprise that we all kind of see at the same time. So somebody put up this thing on X talking about the turnover differential, and what they were talking about was the Dallas Cowboys, of course. Let's look at this turnover differential thing here posted by Dan Rogers. Okay, so it says, let's see if we can decipher this, and y'all can look at this and y'all can help me decipher it too. Demetrius Noel, he said, yeah, they hate Jerry with a passion. Yeah, Jerry was talking noise about them officials too. You remember that, Demetrius? He kind of talking a little bit of noise about them. All right, let's see if we can get this turnover differential thing figured out. All right, so I'm going to put this up on the screen. This is the turnover differential they're talking about with the Cowboys, and I think this is everything to do with defensively about the Cowboys. It says the Cowboys have finished in the bottom 10 in turnover differential in each of the last 2 seasons. If they want to return to the playoffs, they must win the turnover differential. Here's 20 years of data. Now, let me tell you something about this turnover differential. This is absolutely what made Dan Quinn's defenses. This is absolutely what made Dan Quinn's defenses look better than they were. Dan Quinn was able to get a lot of turnovers and a lot of sacks. Dan Quinn, let me pull up something here. Dan Quinn's years with the Cowboys. Let's see, what was his time at the... And you're going to notice how this matches up with Dan Quinn, I believe, in particular. Let me see. Dan Quinn was with the Dallas Cowboys from 2021 to 2023. So let's look at 2021 and 2023 in particular. This is why Dan Quinn's defenses were actually fool's gold. A lot of people thought, oh man, Dan Quinn was this great defensive. Hey, don't get me wrong. Dan is a good defensive coordinator and can be great like most, I ain't gonna say like most, like some when they have really good personnel. But what made Dan's defenses look so good in Dallas was the turnover differential. And it was made to play with a lead. Cowboys would get leads in games. Dan Quinn would let his defenses pin their ears back. They would go get the quarterback with Micah Parsons. Not only that, this is also correlated with Al Harris's time in Dallas. Al Harris, the master of the punch out of the football. There's a reason why when you go and look at the turnover differential of the Chicago Bears last year with Al Harris, I guarantee you if you were to go look that up, the Chicago Bears were one of the best teams in the league in the turnover differential. Well, you combine Dan Quinn and Al Harris, and it was a match made in football heaven. If they just could have got him some better linebackers and maybe a really good defensive tackle, man, the Cowboys would have been rocking and rolling. But you think about, look at 2021. The Dallas Cowboys had 34 takeaways. 34? 34 turnovers in 2021. They were ranked first. Giveaways. They gave it away 20 times. They were ranked 11th. They turned it over. They turned people over and they didn't turn it over. You're going to get a lot of wins like that. Yeah. You're going to get a lot of wins like that. You absolutely are. Look at where they were ranked. They were the difference was 14. The difference they were first. Look how many wins they had. And you remember what Matt Eberflus said last year when he came to Dallas? Yeah, we're gonna turn the ball over, get it back to the offense, and score. Really? Really? Let's look at Matt Eberflus. 12 takeaways? What? 12 takeaways. That ranked 29th. They had 21 giveaways. 17th. The differential was -3. So basically the Cowboys turned it over. They basically turned it over more than they took it away. They ranked 29th. Look at how many wins. This is what got them. And when you look at how bad the secondary play was, here it is. Mike Zimmer, 2024. Mike Zimmer wasn't much better. 18 takeaways. 24 giveaways. Both were 24th and 24th, which ranked 24th. They only had 7 wins. There it is. And when you look, and when you start looking back at some of the Cowboys' winning seasons with Dak Prescott, when you start looking at it, Dak Prescott, 2016? And even when we look at the Tony Romo years, there's a couple of Tony Romo years in here too. Look at the Tony Romo years. 2007, 29 takeaways, 26 giveaways, 13th difference. They had 13 wins. I mean, there is a correlation between takeaways, in particular takeaways, what you do with those takeaways, that correlates into some of the wins. Comes in, it deals with some of the wins. Demetrius said, gee, it's not just turnovers, but sacks can be a very misleading statistic. The Green Bay team that went to the Super Bowl in 1997 only had 39 total sacks. And, think about this too, though, Demetrius Noel. These sacks also, though, if you think about sacks equate into turnovers. Because, see, this is why I always say, I always want to see what the result of something is. I want to see what the result of the pressure is. I want to know what the result of the sack is. I want to know what the result of the turnover is. But you can kind of put all of these things in the same, they all correlate. It all goes into the same bucket. Because this is the argument I got against Troy Aikman. When your team gets, and let's look at the 2023 Cowboys in particular and the 2021 Cowboys. When your team gets 34 turnovers, no, you're winning a lot of games. You're winning a lot of games. Now, adding to what Demetrius, I think, is saying, and this was the problem with Dan Quinn's defenses. Dan Quinn's defenses were actually not that good against the run. Dan Quinn could get pressure on the quarterback. Dan Quinn could sack the quarterback. Dan Quinn could turn the ball over. But what Dan Quinn couldn't do well was stop the run. Stop the run. But let's also think about this on the other part of the spectrum. But how many teams do you run into in a year? How many teams do you run into in a year that can really, really pound the rock? You think about the Cowboys. We've just looked at the teams they're going to be playing on their schedule. And we saw 6 teams that were the best against the run last year. But you got a 17-game season. So of the 17 teams, only 6 of them were really good against the run. The problem is the other 11 are probably mediocre and some are below level at stopping the run. So if you are a team that can get a lot of turnovers, if you are a team that can even get to the quarterback, you can mask, and I know this is true because the Cowboys did it while Dan Quinn was here. They masked how bad they were against the run because they were able to get turnovers against teams who couldn't run the ball as well, teams who they would get ahead of, teams that couldn't afford to pound the rock. They had to throw the ball to stay in with the Cowboys. And so all of this goes into the equation. When you are good at turnovers, good at quarterback pressures, good at sacking the quarterback, they can mask a lot of things. Problem is they can only mask so many things because when you come to the playoffs, the problem is that's the best of the best. And in the playoffs, if you got a weakness, it gets exposed. And that's why when you look at these Dallas Cowboy teams, these 12-win seasons, 2021, 2022, and 2023, when you look at those, just look at what happened in 2021. 34 turnovers. 2023, 26 turnovers. 2022, 33 turnovers. You're going to win a lot of games. Regardless. Even if you can't stop the run, you're going to win a lot of games. Problem is, you're not going to win a lot of playoff games. You're not going to win a lot of playoff games, but you're going to win a lot of games. Turnovers are crucial in this game, man. Turnovers turn games. Turnovers turn games. Turnovers turn momentum. Turnovers can be the difference in you've played a trash game, have figured out a way to stay in the game within 5 points, as bad as maybe as bad as your offense have been. Maybe your defense hasn't been as good as it should have been that day. And man, you mess around and get an interception on their side of the field. You mess around. Do y'all remember which year was it? Jourdan Lewis, all those pick sixes. You can be bad at the run all day long. You got cornerbacks getting 6 pick sixes. You're winning a lot of games. You're winning a lot of games. Turnovers matter. They're not the only thing that matters, but they matter. Because I'm telling you, man, turnovers are backbreakers. You can be playing the perfect game. One turnover, turn the momentum. One turnover can be just the difference in a team. And don't mess around and get 2 of them. You mess around and get 2 of them, oh, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. You're going to probably get beat with 2 or more. So when you look at this turnover differential thing, and then when you look at the Cowboys, because they had so little turnovers, and it's all a part of the equation. When I look at 2024 and 2025, Zimmer, and now Parsons was here in 2024. He was hurt a few games, but he was here in 2024. You look at 2025 and no Parsons. You have way less takeaways. The defenses were struggling to get the whole thing down. You have 18 turnovers. 2025, you have 12 turnovers. And then you have 24 giveaways in 2024. You had 21 giveaways in 2025. Your turnover differential, you're giving it away more than you're taking it away. It's no surprise that you're only going to win 7 games. It's no surprise. It's just no surprise. But even in this, there's a reason why when you look at this 20 years of data that Dan Rodgers or whoever put together, this is so good, because you still got a problem. You can't stop the run. You can't stop the run. You get to the playoffs and you can't stop the run. If you can't stop the playoffs, if you can't stop the run in the playoffs, you're not going to win. It's the bottom line. If you cannot stop the run in the playoffs, you cannot win. The playoffs is when everything matters. You have got to be able to stop the run, because if you can't stop the run in the playoffs, typically the teams who are in the playoffs, that they are so good at what they do that once they know you can't stop the run, they're going to run you to death. They're going to make you bring up your linebackers. They're going to make you bring up your safeties. And then when you bring up your linebackers and bring up your safeties, they're going to hit you with play action, and they're going to hit you deep down the middle of the field at least 3 or 4 times in that game. They're going to rock your world, and it's over with. Done. Done. Jordan Love is still riding on his playoff quarterback percentage. He's still riding the game he had against the Dallas Cowboys. And he didn't hardly do anything. But because we couldn't stop the run, Dan Quinn was doing everything he could do to stop the run. They ran us out, and then they passed us out. They ran us out, then we passed us out. And then Dak Prescott, they're playing in the game. CeeDee Lamb is losing his mind, wanting Dak Prescott to throw him the ball, and Dak is trying to tell him you're double covered. And I believe that interception that Dak threw to CeeDee Lamb was to shut CeeDee Lamb up. Ball was intercepted. Then the one that he threw to Brandon Cooks, just a great defensive play. The defender crawled over the top of Brandon Cooks, caught the interception. Before you know it, the Cowboys are down, 14-0, and then you couldn't stop the run. It was an avalanche. It was an avalanche. And Dan Quinn's defenses were never made to play from behind. Dan Quinn's defenses always played well with a lead. Always played well with a lead. And so this matters. Now, Christian Parker's defenses, I do think they are a little bit opportunistic. So this is going to be the key to his success, too, in 2026. He's going to have to get turnovers. He's going to have to get turnovers because you got to figure into your own offense. When you got a quarterback that is as aggressive as Dak Prescott in all these tight window throws, one thing you know, you can at least, and this is any quarterback, you can figure into every single quarterback's season. You probably need to figure in about 8 to 12 interceptions. You need to figure in about 8 to 12 interceptions. It's rare that a quarterback is going to go without any interceptions. You're going to figure in 8 to 12 interceptions. You got to figure in with your quarterback. Every so often, he'll get strip sack fumbled. Every so often, he'll get somebody, a defense that'll be very aggressive. It'll be a strip sack fumble. You probably got to figure in about 2 or 3 of those. So your quarterback is going to be responsible for somewhere between, 10 to 14 turnovers. Then you got to figure in that there'll be some times, and we've seen this with Dak Prescott, his wide receivers will tip the ball up. Some of his interceptions will probably be tips. So when you figure in that 8 to 14 turnovers by your quarterback, you got to figure that your running back is probably going to fumble the ball. 2-3 times? Between all of the wide receivers, the tight ends, they'll probably fumble the ball. Between all of them? 6 to 7 times? So you got to figure in that you're probably going to commit somewhere between 15 to 25 turnovers. You're going to commit somewhere between 15 to 25 turnovers. So that means you need a defense. You need a defense that can offset your 15 to 25 turnovers, and they can get 25 or more turnovers. You need that kind of defense. A defense that can get you a minimum of 25 and whatever else they can get you beyond that. You need a defense that can get you that many. Minimum 25. And if you can get them in the 30 range, well, look at this thing up here at the top. If your defense can get in the 30 range, you're going to help mask a lot of deficiencies on your defense. If you can get in that 30 range. The Cowboys in 2022, 33. 2023, 26. 2014, 31. 2021, 34. 2007, 29. 2016, they only had 20. But if you're going to only have 20, you better be at that bottom barrel of turnovers. They only had 15 giveaways. So this all kind of works all in there. It all works in there. But these Cowboys got to be able to stop the run this year. They got to be able to stop the run. And I'm sorry, but both of these 2024 and 2025, these are fireable offenses. You can't coach in this league and your defense only got 12 turnovers. You fired, man. You are fired if your defense only got 12 turnovers. Even 18. Boy, that's bad. That's bad, man. 18? That's bad. It's bad. But that's kind of where the Cowboys are with the turnover differential. So we already know one place that they have got to improve. They have got to improve in turnovers. The Cowboys, man, I'm going to just tell you, I ain't going to even lie to you, man. They got a lot of things to improve in. They got to get better at rushing the passer. BT Jordan, I believe, will help with that. They got to get better at stopping the run. If you look at what the Cowboys have done on their front, their defensive front, they have actually designed this thing to stop the run. Our next biggest question is rushing the passer. Will we be able to depend on Rashawn Gary? Will we be able to depend on Donovan Ezeraku, James Houston? You know, we're wondering now kind of who's going to get us. You know we got BT Jordan, but who is he really going to be able to get them? And maybe it'll be Malachi Lawrence. I think they're going to bring in Jayshon Barham sometimes on pass rushing special stuff. So we're going to see what they do. And we're waiting to see, will they go out and get that Von Miller? Will they go out there and get that Joey Bosa? And some of us are wondering, will they go out there and get Josh Sweat? We'll talk about that towards the end. Hey, Mr. C, let me tell you something. The Dallas Cowboys and their offensive penalties, there's a spirit or something in Dallas Stadium or with the Dallas Cowboys, because it was with Mike McCarthy. It's now with Brian Schottenheimer. It was even before those guys' tenure. Why do the Cowboys have so many offensive penalties? Why do they have so many offensive penalties? I have no idea why that is. It don't matter the coach. Quinn Scott said, it's amazing to me that everybody's getting so uptight about the schedule. Living off last year, Jason McIntyre, Colin Cowherd, and wannabe Dallas Cowboys fans Skip the Dip Bayless, they are begging. Quinn Scott, I think the schedule is great. I think it's great. I think they set the Cowboys up to succeed. Their conditioning is going to have to be on point, but I think they set them up to succeed. I really do. Robert Dully, you think it's going to be pass rush by committee? We're going to see if they get a Von Miller or a Joey Bosa, or will they stick to their guns and say we can develop Malachi Lawrence? You know, we can get Lawrence and Ezeraku will be better in his second year, and we're going to see. And Rashawn Gary, I think they're really putting a lot of stock in Gary. Mr. C said getting beat up on offense has gotten called. Oh yeah, have gotten called for holding calls, killed us. Yeah, we stalled drives with a bunch of penalties. Put ourselves in a bunch of third and longs. Demetrius Noel said Ferg needs to work on holding onto the ball. No doubt. Fortunately for us, most of them went out of bounds. Ferg better have gloves with glue if need be. Yeah. Dominique said because they're not allowed to hold these players accountable, which is why I've mentioned numerous times how Jerry and Steven baby these players. They don't like seeing coaches chew them out. I get it, but I'm still struggling with that part. Because I don't know, I'm struggling with that part. I mean, if you chew out the offensive, I gotta think on that some more. I mean, what is chewing out a player going to do? And that I guess that's what my question is. I think you actually have to do something a little bit different. I think you have to create a mentality in a team to where they don't commit penalties. And I guess my question is, how do you hold grown men accountable like that? How do you do it? How do you hold them accountable? How do you hold them accountable? What are you going to do? You going to shoot yourself in the foot? I mean, we saw the Cowboys I believe Brian Schottenheimer was doing the best that he could. I mean, Brian Schottenheimer would put in Nate Thomas. I mean, they would put in a different player. They would make mistakes on the offensive line. I mean, what good did that do? What good did it do? I guess that's where I'm struggling at. But I get what you're saying. I'm just kind of struggling. Like, how do you hold them accountable? Because I'm not sure that other teams are holding their players so accountable, as in what way? And I guess that's what I would need to be explained to me. How are they holding them more accountable than the Cowboys are holding them accountable? I mean, what are they doing? Are they putting them on the bench? I mean, because chewing out a player ain't gonna do a whole lot of great like that. Okay, Dominique says, prime example, Chris Richard chewed out Sean Lee in LVE on the sideline. And after the game, Steven said, we don't like that when asked about it. And you see Richard was out of here after that. Okay, I get that example, but I'm thinking about overall is where I'm going. How do you hold grown men accountable? Especially in today's NFL. This is a players association thing too. Don't just boil this down to a Dallas Cowboy thing. How are you holding players accountable? Explain that part to me. This is one of the reasons why Deion Sanders said he wouldn't want to coach in the pros. And I think this is even why today Deion Sanders now is struggling coaching in college. How do you chew out a millionaire? How do you do it? See, Deion was saying that was one of the things he liked about college. But now you got millionaires playing in college. And we've already seen what keeps happening to the Colorado Buffaloes. Deion coaches them hard. What do they do? They get back in the transfer portal. So I guess that's kind of where I am, how do you discipline grown millionaires? What are we saying? Because chewing out ain't doing nothing for no millionaire. I'm either going to do good or I'm not. I mean, chewing me out ain't going to do any good. I think Shotty, we'll see. Let's see what Shotty does in his second year. And that's what I'm talking about right there, Bernard Fields, playing time. Because that's really the only way you can do it. But watch this. Bernard Fields, because I think you make a great point. Baz got to be laughing. Baz said do it push-ups. Baz said do it push-ups and making them take laps. Man, I just don't know if that works for grown millionaires. But what I'm saying is, so Bernard Fields, let's go here. So Bernard Fields says playing time. So if you're going to do that then, Bernard Fields, that means then your depth must be good enough that if you put that player on the bench, you have players that can play as good as that player. And what the Cowboys' problem is, they don't have the depth to put a player on the bench that if another player comes in, then you're putting Dak Prescott's life at risk. So how do you do it? I mean, we saw Brian Schottenheimer doing some of this stuff last year. Making guys sit out the first series, for example, what he did with Lamb and Pickens. But in the grand scheme of things, those things only hurt you. You shooting your own self in the foot if you do those things. So when you start talking about doing things like that, that means you got to find a way to keep the depth on your team to where if you're going to be a disciplinarian, that you can put that kind of depth on your team to where you can put a guy on the bench. Yeah, because I get that part. Put him on the bench. You just got to make sure that you don't put him on the bench and you hurt yourself in what you're doing. Ruffin said if Jimmy Johnson was coaching these Cowboys, I think a lot of this stuff gets cleaned up. I don't think Jimmy could coach the way that he coached back then. I think that's the issue, Ruffin. I don't think he can coach like that because of the CBAs now. I just don't think he can coach like that. But let me say this about Jimmy. Jimmy coached a mentality in his teams. Jimmy coached a mentality into his teams of not making mistakes. Jimmy coached that mentality into his teams. Now, I'm just going to be honest with you. I'm not good enough of a coach to really know how do you do that. I mean, Jimmy was in a different era too. It's hard sometimes to compare eras. We're talking about different eras. And some of the things that Jimmy did then, he couldn't do now. Putting guys in pads extra days. You can't do that. Making guys hit extra days. Making practice hell. You can't do that. They stopped coaches like Jimmy Johnson in this day and time. But there are other teams out there that are still successful and don't have a lot of the turnovers the Cowboys have. So I think there is something there, and I understand what we're talking about with this country club atmosphere, because that's kind of what we're talking about here. But the issue is how do you really get rid of that? How do you do it? How do you do it? I think Brian Schottenheimer's been trying to do it. I just think you got to have enough depth. You got to have enough depth that when you start doing those types of things, you got to have enough depth to where you can afford to put guys on the bench. Bass said exactly. He said, you don't reward mistakes or bad play or poor effort or lack thereof with continuous play. Gnaw to them benches. Depth or not, principles matters. Okay. How do you do it? Yep, Mark Davis. And that's why Saban's out of the game too. Nick Saban said that was going to eventually be a problem with these boys getting paid millions in college. I think that's why I think Deion's days are numbered coaching in college. It's hard to discipline, it's hard to discipline some of these guys today, man. Deion talked about that. How do you discipline grown men? How do you discipline grown men? But all it feels, I think you're going on the right track. The organization got to be on the same page. And that's why I say you got to coach that mentality into, you got to find ways to coach a mentality into teams of not making mistakes. What's on the line in all these things? Kroger said, now you got to deal with Jerry. If you don't play them, because he says if they're getting paid, they should play. Now, that's where I think this goes along with what Dominique is saying, because Jerry says, and I heard Steven say it, the money stays on the field. But you got to ask yourself, do you want the money not to be on the field? Because typically the guys who you're paying the money to, they're better than the guys you're not paying the money to. It's tough. Yeah, Jabril said, best players getting the penalties. Yeah, man. There will be blood, said G. Football used to stand for tough guys who wanted blood, sweat, and tears, and that need for contact, point blank. Man. I'm just wondering, how do you do it? How do you do it? I think Shotty is trying to do it, but how do you do it? Jeremy Betts, I think this is another good comment again. Still got to let a guy know that their mistakes and decisions are affecting the team's success. Your brothers, your family, you guys can't grasp that part. Then what are we doing? Yeah. I got to be able to communicate that much. And Jeremy Betts, I think this is the way that Shotty is going. I think this is the way Shotty is going. And I think Shotty understands that there are some limitations to what he can do. So he's trying to get a buy-in from the players. Like you said, of if you make mistakes, you're stopping us from championship opportunities. Do you want a championship? Do you want a championship? Putting that line of thinking in the minds of those guys is what he's trying to do. It is tough. It is not only tough in today's NFL, but it's also tough on the Dallas Cowboys. It is. Yeah, that ain't happening, Dominique. Yeah, you're not getting rid of the owner and GM. And I just think Shotty is doing it the right way. Shotty's trying to figure out to do it within the cards that he's been dealt. We're going to see this year. This is another one of those tests, I believe, for Brian Schottenheimer. Last season was his first season. We got to see what Shotty does this season. This team is going to be more of Brian Schottenheimer's team this year. Brian Schottenheimer's built a lot of trust. I think he's built a really good culture. I think he's built a lot of camaraderie. And I think he's going to do even more of that coming up this season. Let's see what happens this season. Maybe there'll be a change. And if they get that change, then maybe this will affect some of those penalties. Texas boy, he said, you want to coach the coach. You can't get offended if a coach gets in your face. That goes back to character. Some players just divas. Yeah, man. But hey, y'all saw last year, Dominique, let's give Brian some credit. We saw Brian last year making understand what we're seeing. We saw last year, what was Brian Schottenheimer doing? Brian Schottenheimer had the team doing whatever those things are, had them running sideline to sideline. We heard Brian Schottenheimer cursing them out. We've heard Brian Schottenheimer do a lot of that old school stuff. And I think he's building up enough trust again to where I think we may even see a tougher Brian Schottenheimer this year. Baz said, I see what you're saying, but Shotty alluded to it with Trayvon. Remember that he was shocked by something Diggs said. There's that too. And a thing I like about Brian, though, he don't shy away from having tough conversations. And so, again, you got to get those types of players off the field. Off the team, and they did that. So we're going to see. Let's give Brian another year on that. That was his first year. Let's give Brian another year. Rome wasn't built in a day, man. We got to realize how much progress that Brian Schottenheimer has made with these Dallas Cowboys. He's made a lot of progress. So I'm gonna give Brian Schottenheimer some more leeway. Okay, let's see what he does this year. It was his first year. They're getting to know Brian. Brian's getting to know them. They're having to trust Brian, and they're getting to know Brian. So let's give him more. Let's give him some more. Let's give him some more leeway. Gabe, appreciate you. He said you speak facts today. Best pod on YouTube. Appreciate you. Yeah, let's give him some more time. There will be blood, said G. Now it's like you have to cater to players due to money, front office sensitivity. These young people are unstable. It's getting rough on them if you're getting rough on them at times. Yeah. It's true. It's the society we live in. But I think they're going in the right direction, Cowboys fans. I think they're going in the right direction. I see everything that Brian is trying to do. And I think he's doing a very good job with the cards that he's been dealt. He's doing a really good job. Bernard Fields says, got to be innovative as well, G. Give players something to look forward to. I think Brian's doing that. I do. I think he's doing it. Yeah, Moose, I agree with you. I think this year's going to be better for Brian. I agree with you. I do. I think he's going to do a lot better. All right, let's hit another couple of subject matters here tonight. Appreciate y'all rocking with me. Always appreciate y'all's input. Best chat on YouTube. Definitely don't mind y'all pushing back on what I'm saying. All right, let me see what my man. Hey, what's going on, Katharina Kiss? See what my man Demetrius said. G, it's simple. Your mistake can be the difference between the championship and the loss. Demetrius, I think that is exactly what Brian is trying to instill in them. I think that's exactly what he's trying to instill in them. And that's the big part about discipline. I talked about this in a sermon this past week. You can't discipline for discipline's sake. You have to, when you're disciplining people, you have to be able to get a buy-in from them. Because if you don't get the buy-in from them, if they don't care about what you're disciplining them for, the discipline means nothing. So you gotta find a way to make it matter to them what they're being disciplined for. It has to matter to them. Because if it doesn't matter to them, if it doesn't matter to them, the discipline to them isn't discipline. The discipline is just punishment. And punishment, people don't like it. So you got to figure out ways to get them to buy in. And that's the big thing with the Cowboys. And I think Brian is going and moving that way. All right.
Yes! Here we go!
So we got another one of these people over here on Colin Cowherd's show. I forget the guy who stands in for him from time to time. But he is talking once again, and you keep getting people talking like this. It sounds like they know something that either they know something that we know.
Oh, the headline this week.
And I know what it is. We like talking like this, but we don't like other folk talking like this. We don't want folks outside of the Cowboys organization talking like this. But there are a lot of people, guys. There are a lot of people who are on the Cowboys bandwagon. And they're on the Cowboys bandwagon because they just see so many things that the Cowboys are doing right this season. So many things the Cowboys are doing right. And so I don't think they're getting on the Cowboys bandwagon for the sake of getting on the Cowboys bandwagon. I think they're getting on the Cowboys bandwagon because, similar to me last year, I was saying the Cowboys are moving different. And because the Cowboys are moving different and they are doing things better, it seems to me that this is going to equate into the Cowboys being able to get themselves a Super Bowl. And so a lot of people, I really can't blame them. They are getting on the bandwagon of the Cowboys winning big this year. Let me see. I'm trying to get a picture up here of Jason McIntyre. All right, we're going to put his picture up here while he talks. And then we'll also get a picture of Mark Schlereth. Trying to avoid these copyright strikes. All right, so we got us a picture of Mark Schlereth and a picture of Jason McIntyre. So we're going to roll with those two pictures. This is Jason McIntyre and Mark Schlereth having a conversation about the Dallas Cowboys winning the NFC East. Let's roll.
Brian Schottenheimer moves closer to. I'm sure you saw the headline this week. Brian Schottenheimer moves closer to the Cowboys facility so he could spend more time at practice and with the team. Apparently, he wanted to cut down his commute. I'm sure that's code for something. I don't know what, but I'm guessing he's a little nervous heading into the season in Dallas. Like this, no playoffs the last 2 years. You've got an owner who's a little wacky in Jerry Jones. You got the Pickens situation, which is a cauldron. I don't know what to make of the Cowboys this year, but their win total did move up from 8.5 to 9.5 after the schedule came out. Is there anything there?
I'd hammer the over.
Wow.
I mean, I would hammer the over. Listen, the Dallas Cowboys, to me, you're playing in a division with Philadelphia that we've all said, hey, man, Philadelphia is one of the most talented rosters in football. But their offensive line coach, Jeff Stoutland, said, hey, see you later, guys. I don't want to be here anymore. They've got issues with their wide receiver. The quarterback, there's questions about the quarterback. There's a lot of things going on in Philadelphia. The Giants, I expect the Giants to make a leap under John Harbaugh, but how much of a leap? How good are the Giants going to be? So, you look at Washington, after last year, new offensive coordinator, David Blau, who's never called plays before. What does that look like after Cliff Kingsbury's departure? They invested in the offseason on their defense and all those things, but there's a lot of question marks within this division. One thing I will say about the Dallas Cowboys is you can win a lot of games in this league. We all make it about receivers, which is the most overrated position in football.
Ooh.
Wide receiver is just ridiculous, ridiculously overrated. Where they have invested is a young offensive line that can hammer people, that can beat up on people. And now they've invested defensively in their front seven. They got D. Winters from San Francisco. They went out and got Quinnen Williams, who is an absolute beast from the Jets. Rashawn Gary is part of that. I think he was part of that trade with Micah Parsons. So, I don't know that they have a legit big-time edge guy that's a, kind of a war daddy off there on the edge. But, man, they have invested in that front seven. You control both lines of scrimmage in the National Football League, you're going to win a lot of football games. And when I look at the Dallas Cowboys, that's what jumps out, just jumps off the screen to me more than George Pickens and more than, hey, how are we going to – CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens, our talent out there. They've got plenty of talent, man. I just look at them and say, I think this is a football team that can dominate both lines of scrimmage. And that to me says, hey, man, Dallas Cowboys are front runners in my mind to win their division.
Yeah. Yeah, he talking about the trenches. That's what he's talking about. He is talking about the trenches. He's talking about the Cowboys winning in the trenches. And because of what the Cowboys have done in the trenches, Mark Schlereth is saying the Dallas Cowboys are going to be NFC East champs. And I also think he's describing another issue. He's describing the issue of don't make it all about George Pickens. Appreciate that super chat, Brandon. You right on time with that question. Wide receiver overrated. And what he's talking about, is that George Pickens factor. Which, hey, I'm like you, Brandon. Shoot, man, wide receivers ain't overrated in my book. Nah, man. I love the Cowboys setup right now. You tell me anything you want to. How many 2 number 1 receivers that went to the Super Bowl? Well, heck, let us be the first ones. Shoot. I ain't listening to that conversation. Hey, I ain't listening to that conversation. Nah, bruh. I am on board with these 2 wide receivers. I'm on board with these 2 wide receivers. But I'm on board with what Mark Schlereth said. It's the Cowboys' trenches. It's what they have done with Kenny and Quinnen. It's Cooper Beebe, Tyler Booker, Ty Smith. And, it's so crazy to me. We're going to talk about this as we get later into the week. But, man, so much of what we are depending on offensively is also tied to one Tyler Guyton. Man, we got a lot riding on Tyler Guyton. We really do. I mean, I really believe the Cowboys need to be working on an alternative for Tyler Guyton. I mean, if there is somebody that truly needs a camp battle, we're talking about bringing in running backs. Man, we need to bring in a battle for Tyler Guyton. Let me tell you something. If you give me a better left tackle than Tyler Guyton, I would rather roll with the running backs than we have than to get a running back and go into this season with Tyler Guyton with all of these question marks. Maybe I'm different. But if you get a great offensive line, man, good running backs can run behind them. Good running backs can run behind a great offensive line. But a great running back can't run behind a mediocre offensive line. He will be able to do some things here and there. But they will eventually be able to crash in on him if the offensive line isn't consistent. We got a lot riding on Tyler Guyton, man. Your tackles matter, offensively and defensively. Your tackles matter. We got a lot riding on Tyler Guyton, guys. We have a lot riding on him. I am so hoping that Tyler Guyton, we keep talking the same thing every year. Yeah, man, Tyler Guyton takes 3 years. Didn't take Tyler Booker 3 years. Didn't take Ty Smith 3 years. Dang show didn't take Cooper Beebe 3 years. Shoot. Man, Cooper Beebe out there playing, man. Dude out there, man, Cooper Beebe got to be one of the most underrated centers in the game, man. This dude came out the box banging and knocking people around. Ty Booker came out the package knocking people around. Ty Smith came out the package knocking people around. And we giving Tyler Guyton, oh, yeah, man. How long? You're talking about if you really want a championship-level offensive line. But we got a lot riding on Tyler Guyton. All right, I want to move on to this next thing. Found this little video.
Yes! Here we go!
I want y'all to hear this about coaching matters. Coaching matters. This isn't about the Cowboys, even though it is. But I want you to hear, I thought this would be a very interesting story to bring to the channel because we know we're always talking about coaching. And let me see here. Who is this talking about this? Okay, Leonard Fournette. I don't know if y'all have heard this conversation, but I think he gives a very good example of how coaching matters and how coaches hurt players. How coaches hurt players and they can bring down an entire organization. This is Leonard Fournette talking about how coaching matters. Check this out.
Gruden. Like John Gruden, brother?
His younger brother, yes. To me, he was somebody that was kind of hard to read. He's a fucking asshole.
Oh.
being real.
He was an asshole. Why?
People gotta understand that business. There's so many fake people, and it's so hard to find certain coaches to be real. And they do have them in there, but it is hard as hell to find them. I came here, did everything right. I just feel like he kind of faked it with me the whole way.
When you say fake that, what you mean?
Oh, Leonard, you doing everything right. You know what? You're the best back we got.
Damn.
Pass protection.
Damn.
To do all that and to find out afterwards, years later, that, he didn't want me there, that's a shitty situation.
When a coach or a player kind of inherits you, instead of say, I want Leonard Fournette. Do you feel like that is also something that is a problem?
Yeah, I do. But as a player, when they try to replace me with the guys they thought it was better than me, right? James Robinson didn't pan out. Or Rashad White, Tampa Bay didn't pan out. When the new coaching staff came in, those are the guys they picked and liked. I just feel like at least try to respect the guy and give him a shot. I don't think they did that with me.
All right. Coaching matters. And I think kind of the gist of what they are talking about, Leonard Fournette is kind of alluding to, it matters how a coach sees you. And so this is why I say one of the things that I'm liking about the Dallas Cowboys, if you pay attention, the Dallas Cowboys are becoming more of Brian Schottenheimer's team. This is becoming more of his team. And the players the Cowboys have lost, whether we accept this, like this, or hate it, they were not the kind of players that Brian Schottenheimer wanted. And were probably not going to thrive under Brian Schottenheimer because they were just not the players. Because once a coach recognizes that you're not the player that he wants, man, there's a whole lot of things that don't go right for you. There's a whole lot of things that don't go right for you. Yeah, Dominique, that's what I get for not listening to the video before I put it on. That's exactly what I get, Dominique Pittman. Trying to get that element of surprise. I guess I got surprised, didn't I? But, coaching matters in the way people see you as a player. And coaching matters. And I'm going to tell you something, Dominique. You brought up a point about coaches coddling players. And I can agree with you from this perspective. One of the players the Cowboys have been coddling, it's Tyler Guyton. They've been babying Tyler Guyton. They absolutely have. They've been babying him. I mean, again, I always hear people say, yeah, man, it takes like 3 years. Well, you got to explain to me, why didn't it take 3 years for everybody else? Why does Tyler Guyton have to get the benefit of it takes 3 years? I think the Dallas Cowboys took a left tackle in the first round who wasn't a first round left tackle. I think that's what the Cowboys did. I mean, when you go in the first round and get a left tackle, especially high in the draft, he got to be ready to step on the field right now. Right now. He got to be able to step on the field and play. Man, we're talking about the third year for this dude. Again, Tyler Booker didn't need a third year. Smith didn't need a third year. BB didn't need a third year. Out the package, man. Brand new out the package. Performing like a brand new pair of Jordans. Meanwhile, we're talking about still with Tyler Guyton. What is he going to be this year? Come on, man. We got to do better than that. Man, we have to do better than that. Intelligent Savage, what is going on, my brother? Good to see you. Man, I saw this about, Ryan Flanoy. I think that is something that somebody suggested. I think that was something that somebody suggested about Ryan Flanoy. I'm not sure that's actual real talk out there. Because who going to trade for Tyler Guyton? Who's going to trade for Ryan Flanoy? What are you getting for Ryan Flanoy? Would it really be worth the trade? And I don't think the Cowboys need to trade Ryan Flanoy. I think Ryan Flanoy is on the up. You know, he's got an upward trajectory, man. No, we need to keep that dude. We need to keep him. Yeah, I think that thing about him going to the Jets, I think that's some kind of rumor. And again, you know, this is what we were dealing with the other day. We'll get a media member or a content creator come up with some idea, and then people start writing that whole idea about somebody getting traded. Man, come on. I mean, come on, man. Let me see. Ryan Flanoy. This was the idea. Recent trade proposal for Ryan Flanoy going to the Jets, which would be a major mistake for the Cowboys. Let me see who's responsible. Let's see. Randy Gursey writes about this. I'm not sure who suggested. Let me see. Okay, again, this was one of these things by one of these ESPN writers, Jake Beckman. What happened was Jake Beckman had an article about one player that every team could trade for that would improve their team. And so it was saying that the New York Jets, they could improve their roster by adding Flanoy. So what, we gonna make our roster worse by letting Ryan Flanoy go? Stop it. Yeah, Keith Washington, if I'm not mistaken, Tyler Guyton was drafted in the first round. Drafted, I think, if I'm not mistaken, what was it, number 29? He was the 29th overall pick in 2024. Yeah, Cowboys drafted him at number 29. Yeah. You don't draft the left tackle in the first round and that joker don't come in. Poobie did. This is one of the dumbest things we did. The problem is we drafted him knowing he only played on the right side. I still don't understand that. That is dumb to me. That's just dumb to me. Mile High City, because Guyton was supposed to be taken in the first round, plus they moved him from right tackle. Doesn't make sense. It's one of the dumbest things we did. Dominique, I'm with you. If Guyton don't improve, he got to go after this season, no doubt. No doubt, man. Yep, you're right. There will be blood. They were enamored by the size, by the body type. That's what they were enamored by. But we got to understand something. Man, he not a shoddy guy. I mean, right now, man, they got so much trust. Jerry got, man, Shoddy may be actually able to convince him. I mean, we saw last year, I believe the Cowboys were trying. I believe they were trying to replace him. But who do you replace him with? You know, Cowboys be getting on my nerves, getting a guy in the 7th round, Nate Thomas. Yeah, man, you know, he can come in and stand in. Come on, man, he can't do that. I don't think he can do that. You got to get somebody better than that. Jeremy Benson, I ain't giving excuses to Tyler Guyton. Did come in having to play one of the most difficult positions to play on the offensive football period. Left tackle, having played right tackle, and that's the part I don't understand. I didn't like the move. It just didn't make sense to me. I don't think they'll make mistakes like that with Brian Schottenheimer being the head coach. I don't think they'll make no more mistakes like that. At least I don't think they will. But again, we have no choice. We're gonna, we don't have any choice but to roll with roll with Tyler Guyton right now. But I still say that I'm with you, Dominique. This make a break for him. This make a break. All right, let's hit these last two quick subject matters. Man, let me tell y'all something. I don't know about y'all, but this Brandon Sorsby story has got me livid. This Brandon Sorsby story, I am furious about this Brandon Sorsby story. I'm not opposed to second chances and things of that nature. But when I start hearing people say stuff like the Dallas Cowboys should take a chance on Brandon Sorsby, And here we are having George Pickens to play under a non-exclusive franchise tag and wanting him to have another prove-it year and to have the unmitigated gall for people to be saying stuff like Brandon Sorsby to the Dallas Cowboys. That to me would be one of the most hypocritical things that you could do. You're going to bring in Brandon Sorsby for what? What are you bringing him in for? So you're going to bring him in and he don't even have to, what does he got to prove to you? Brandon Sorsby, in actuality, they're talking about Brandon Sorsby going in the NFL supplemental draft. I'll be honest with you. For what he did, I don't think Brandon Sorsby should get to be in anybody's draft this year. I don't. Brandon Sorsby should not be allowed to be in the NFL supplemental draft. That is crazy work to me. If I am not mistaken, they made, what was the player name? They made Calvin Ridley. They made Calvin Ridley sit out an entire season, if I'm not mistaken, when Calvin Ridley did what he did. So you're telling me that the NCAA decides that he's not going to be reinstated and is not eligible for the 2026 season. But we're then saying he should be allowed to be in the supplemental draft. And people out there were actually mentioning his name in the same season or mentioning his name in the same conversation with the Dallas Cowboys. What are we doing? There is no way I would want Brandon Sorsby in Dallas. It just would be so hypocritical to me to do something like that. To bring in Brandon Sorsby. Have y'all been following this story? This Brandon Sorsby story is banana bonkers. It is banana bonkers. And I'm just blown away. His name is Brandon Sorsby. He's the quarterback for Texas Tech, Mile High City. And they're saying that he's really, really good. Problem is, Brandon Sorsby was out there gambling. Brandon Sorsby was out there gambling on college football. He was out there gambling. He's got a gambling addiction. And he's been betting on football. And if I'm not mistaken, he might have even been betting on some of his own. This dude does not need to be on an NFL team. Oh, y'all haven't heard this story? Brandon Sorsby? Oh, yeah, a lot of people, man, there were people out there asking, should he go to the Cowboys? And I'm like, dude, what? People are talking about how good he is. I thought everybody knew about this Brandon Sorsby story. Let me play this for you. There were people suggesting that the Cowboys should get him in a supplemental draft. And I'm like, what? What are we talking about here? Yeah, this is the Brandon Sorsby story.
And one of the paths for Brendan Sorsby here is to declare for the NFL supplemental draft. What in the world is the NFL supplemental draft? Well, we have not had this over here since 2019. But basically, the supplemental draft is an alternate selection process used by the NFL for college prospects who missed the regular NFL draft in April for a bunch of different reasons. If you're an academic reason, a legal reason, an eligibility issue, which of course is the case over here, the NFL creates a supplemental draft. Now, they have not had this since 2019. Like I said, the famous cases in recent history are Terrell Pryor, Josh Gordon is a good case, drafted by the Browns, and the most recent one is actually a player who's still in the NFL. Jalen Thompson in 2019 was selected by the Arizona Cardinals in the 5th round of the supplemental draft. He was signed this offseason by the Dallas Cowboys in a very big contract to be part of the Christian Parker defense. But that's the last player who was selected in the supplemental draft. But the NFL has not had this since that year in 2019. This is not a televised thing. It takes 10 minutes. But the way it works is if you want to select a player in the supplemental draft, you get on a call with the league and you say, hey, I want to select this player in the 1st round. If you want them in the 2nd round, you say, I want them in the 2nd round. Until you say which pick you want. At the end, the NFL goes through the list, the order, and says, this team picked them first in this round. They had the highest pick in that round. They get this player. If you pick a player, for example, let's do the Jalen Thompson example. He was picked in the 5th round by the Cardinals in the 2019 supplemental draft. If you pick a player in the 5th round, that means you forfeit your 5th round pick in the next actual draft. So in that case, the Cardinals took him in the 5th round of the 2019 supplemental draft. They forfeited a 5th round pick in the 2020 NFL draft. If Brendan Sorsby ends up in a situation where he loses his eligibility and he goes into the supplemental route, this is going to be one of the most high-profile supplemental situations that we've had in NFL history, possibly. It's been a while since we've had something like this. You got to go back to the 90s for a case of a player of this magnitude. And Brendan Sorsby has a lot of talent. A lot of scouts around the NFL believe he would have been a 1st-round pick in the 2027 NFL draft. What do you do if he's in the supplemental draft? If you're a team that needs a quarterback, I don't know if it's the Jets, the Browns, the Steelers, whoever it is, to use a 1st-round pick, to use a 2nd-round pick. I think there's a real chance over here that a 2nd-round pick becomes a selection used by a team to get Brendan Sorsby on their team. In June, he joins their team, and all of a sudden now you have a quarterback who's supposed to be a 1st-round pick in 2027, and all you gave up was a 2nd-round pick in 2027 to get that player.
I have all kinds of problems with this type of stuff. I have all kinds of problems. We got George Pickens, who has to prove himself to the entire league. And I'm not saying I don't understand that. But to bring in this dude, who you know is in rehab for gambling on games. What in the world do you think is going to happen when he comes to the NFL? Banana bonkers to me. And there were people actually out here saying, should the Cowboys get Brendan Sorsby? And I'm like, what? Why would the Cowboys do this? I can't believe y'all didn't see this. There was quite a few people putting this up here. This was Sports Illustrated on May the 7th, their Dallas Cowboys section. They were talking about this. Look, Cowboys should consider quarterback Brendan Sorsby in supplemental draft. Do what? It says as good as he is, Dak Prescott's $76 million cap number, knowing he gonna get an extension, could wind up being an issue in 2027. That's why Brandon Laurie asked NFL insider Albert Breer if he believes Dallas will attempt to extend Prescott early, which I think they are. Breer said the Cowboys hurt themselves by waiting in 2020, 2021, and 2024 to extend Prescott. For that reason, he believes a new deal early would be sensical. I think it's happening. I've been saying this. He also threw out another question saying Prescott will be 34 before the next season begins. So perhaps the Cowboys need to start thinking about their future. Brandon Sorsby? Brandon Sorsby. Why could Brandon Sorsby enter the supplemental draft? Says Sorsby is currently under investigation for making bets using a gambling app. He ain't under investigation anymore. Now we know he did it. He's retained attorney Jeffrey Kessler to try and keep his eligibility, but Adam Schefter says he could wind up going to the supplemental draft if he's not allowed to rejoin Texas Tech. What? Why should he get in the supplemental draft? Where's the penalty in that? And just think about this. If the Cowboys were to get him in the supplemental draft, that means you have to give up draft capital to get Brandon Sorsby. This is crazy to me. This is crazy to me. And when I saw this, I was like, what? Banana bonkers. Excuse me. Banana bonkers. No. The Dallas Cowboys don't need this noise in Dallas. They don't need this type of noise in Dallas. Do not want to see Brandon Sorsby in a Dallas Cowboys uniform. Don't want to see it. Do not want to see it. Man, let me hit y'all with a couple of these quick topics, and one of these I don't have on here. But man, I'm about to tell y'all something that's crazy. I don't know if y'all saw this story, but I'm about to show y'all something crazy. About to show y'all something crazy, man. There will be blood, he said. Moral ethics is gone in this world. Young people see this type of thing and says, I can do bad things, but if I'm good, I'll get a pass. Crazy. Well, you saw what happened with the guy over there in Atlanta. I ain't going to talk about it, but you saw what happened with the guy over there in Atlanta, that defensive end? Shoot, boy, your talent will get you. Man, I'm going to tell you something about talent. You got to be careful with it. Talent will take you places that your morals won't endure. Yeah, Larry Hunter said he'll be a locker room problem. Yeah, he ain't going to be no problem. Don't bring him in, Dallas. All right, let me hit you with a quick story here. Developing right now. There's nothing really to talk about, but developing right now. I'm sure tomorrow you're going to see a bunch of stories about Josh Sweat coming to the Dallas Cowboys. But the story is out there. Let me see. I thought I had the link over here. The story is out there. Josh Sweat, it looks like Josh Sweat is seeking a trade. Looks like the Cardinals are receiving trade calls about Josh Sweat. So we don't know how any of this is going to turn out. But there are calls out there about Josh Sweat. And so if they are calling about Josh Sweat, that is leading me to believe that there are some things not quite right going on with Arizona in Josh Sweat. Josh Sweat, 29 years old, $76.4 million deal last season. Despite the impressive 12-sack season in Arizona, they still went 3-14, leading opposing teams to try and snag the talented edge in a trade. And so Jordan Schultz is saying that the Cardinals have received trade calls on Pro Bowler Josh Sweat. Now, the question becomes for me if the Cowboys are one of these teams. But there are calls being made on Josh Sweat. And I know a lot of people, I mean, I would love to have Josh Sweat. I mean, if you can get him for the right price. But, you know, we got to understand something about what's going on with the Cowboys. I believe as long as the Dallas Cowboys have George Pickens on a franchise tag, I don't think they're going to make any deals like this. I really don't. I just don't think they're going to make any deals like this. Don't think they'll make any deals like this. We'll see what happens with Josh Sweat. It's going to definitely have to be somebody with a lot more draft capital. Yeah, Incognito. Yeah, you're right. We don't need old Brendan Sorsby. And people talking about should we get him? Heck no. We over here questioning George Pickens. And then we gonna bring in Brendan Sorsby? Shame on anybody that goes out there and get him. The NFL should say no. You betted on college sports. You need to sit out a year before you can even get in the supplemental draft. NCAA has said no on them. They're not doing it. But Josh Sweat, this is going to be the big story, I believe, over the next 2 to 3 days. We'll see what happens. I'm excited about next week. We also have the post-June 1st cuts coming next week. I'm very excited about that. So we're going to see what happens. But this is a developing story. And I'll tell you this. I don't see on here where the Cardinals are turning down those calls. I don't see where they're turning those calls down. They're obviously accepting those calls. So we'll see. It'd be a way for the Cardinals to probably get from up under a contract. And a team that's in win now mode probably give up a lot of draft capital. So we'll see what happens with Josh Sweat, man. Y'all tell me what y'all think. Would y'all like to see Josh Sweat in Dallas? Would y'all like to see Josh Sweat in Dallas? All right. Let me close out with this story right here. Bass, tell me what you think about this story. This is got to be one, again, not necessarily Cowboys related. This is a bonus story. But y'all know we don't just talk sports over here. We talk stories too. Let me show you a story that I thought was absolute insanity. I want you to look at what these, because we always talking about, the morals, the values, the ethics, and things like that as it applies to what's going on in this society with the young people. And man, we got to pray for our young people, man. The devil is, he's after our young folks. He don't care nothing about old folks. He after young folks. This story right here is absolutely appalling. And this story is about what 8th graders are doing now to get to be better in football and to get those scholarships early, because this is the result, people. This is the result of the NIL money in college. And there is no regulations. It's not being regulated the right way. Look at this insane story. Check this out.
A growing number of middle school athletes are tapping into the red shirt trend and delaying their start to high school. Our senior national correspondent, William Lajeunesse, is live from our West Coast newsroom. We're all interested to hear this. William?
So, Sandra, did your parents ever say, you better get your grades up, little lady, or you're going to repeat 8th grade? Well, now some 13-year-olds are doing it by choice, hoping to get into a better school, a bigger scholarship, or more NIL money.
I play baseball because I love the game, but it's cool to know that if I do what I love, I'll get a little bit of money out of it.
Carter can't...
Wow. This is diabolical. This kid's mind is already on money. Diabolical. What? This is where this is going. This is where this is going. Diabolical. Listen to this.
Leary is attending 8th grade a second time by choice.
It's given him
time by choice. Carter Cancellieri is attending 8th grade a second time by choice.
What?
It's given him an extra year to work on both his academic skills and his athletic skills.
15.
So wait a minute. So wait a minute. You really want us to believe that you're holding him back a year for his academics? Let me tell y'all what happened to us. My son right now, my son George Jr. No, George III. He's still built like a football player. Works out, still works out and everything. Everywhere he goes, people ask him what team does he play for. I mean, just he looks like a football player. But when we moved to a certain town, George was smaller than a lot of the kids he was playing with. And we really couldn't, he looked so small compared to a lot of the kids. And we noticed that a lot of the kids, they were actually really skilled in football in middle school, in the 8th grade. They were bigger than a lot of the kids. No, as a matter of fact, it was the 9th grade. They were bigger than a lot of the kids that they were playing against. And my son George was smaller than them. And, back then he was, it was his 9th grade year. He wasn't into the weights and stuff like that. But when he came back in his 10th grade season, he had a growth spurt. And all those kids, he was bigger than. But I'm saying that to say this. And then we started realizing something as we started talking to the parents. Do you know some of the parents held their kids back on purpose? So that they didn't have to play against kids who were their size? Because they wanted to play. They wanted to have an advantage and be bigger than the kids they were playing against. Who does this dumb stuff? Who does this? Holding your kids back so that they can get a scholarship. I mean, I would never do anything like that, but I can tell you this, I guarantee you, if we would have held our son back one more season, he probably, no doubt in my mind, he would have been a 4-star athlete. No doubt in our minds. We had people, even after he was done playing, we had a couple of big schools that sent him some stuff. This is crazy to me that you would do this for the sole purpose of your kid getting an extra year to hone themselves for sports. This is crazy work. Who would do? And I'm laughing. They actually said that the child made this decision. I didn't know he was the parent. This is insanity.
18-year-old Carter is part of a growing trend of young athletes reclassing.
It's for students that are currently in 8th grade, and they get an additional year of middle school to delay their start of high school.
We're in the twilight zone. We're in the doggone twilight zone. Real estate vet said all of Las Vegas sports does this. All of Las Vegas. Real estate vet, there were some people doing it in our area too. And they're doing this. Guess what, y'all? They're doing this everywhere. When you see unusually large children, some of them are large, but some of them, man, they might actually be 2 grades behind. They may actually be 2 grades behind. Absolute insanity. Absolute insanity. Country Field, he says, sad the kids are thinking like this. Who got them thinking like this? He said, I live in North Carolina. I hear about kids in Georgia are doing this. It's crazy. Demetrius Noel said, it's sad and pathetic shame, and parents are agreeing to this madness. In 4 years, most high school graduates won't know 7 times 7 within a calculator. Demetrius Noel, not only within a calculator, especially outside of a calculator. Wow. Mr. Get Dirty said bull crap. Real estate vet said Bishop Gorman High School, best school in the country, running a birthday audit. Yes, sir. Do it. Mr. Yankee said cheat at any cost. Man, I just saw the other day that there was a youth baseball team got robbed of the Youth World Series because the pitcher was saying, I guess he was either 12 or 13. Turned out the pitcher was doggone 15 or 16. Man, what are we teaching these kids, man? They're turning this, think about it, Larry Hunter. They're turning this into an incentive for the parents. Guess why? Because of the NIL money. You think about it. Parents are basically saying, hey, you're pretty good. Let me hold you back a year, get your body more mature, get your body bigger, faster, stronger. Then you'll go to high school. You will be ahead of most of the ninth graders who didn't do this. You will be head and shoulders above your class. Colleges will come in. Do y'all know colleges start offering the scholarships and the NIL money in high school? Let that sink in. Who do you think controls that money if the children are minors? Who do you think controls it? Who do you think controls it? Absolute craziness.
Once you start high school, you have a 4-year clock, academically and athletically.
Michael Hatcher started the Elite Performance Academy at a public middle school in Orange County, California.
Kids can come in person and have access to 2 separate classes. One is a speed and agility class and also a strength and power class.
After losing students to private schools, Hatcher decided to give parents what they wanted.
I'm witnessing more people doing it and doing it wrong, to be honest, or doing it loudly.
Consultant Shanae Howard offers families a reality check.
It's a 1% chance for them to go D1. 1%.
There it is. There it is right there. People do not understand how hard it is to be a D1 athlete. And being a D1 athlete, people don't understand, man, there is a lot of genetics involved. Man, you can do all the working out you want to. Some players are just genetically superior. They're genetically superior. And people will do all of this stuff just so their children don't even sniff. Don't even sniff a D1 school. It's crazy work, man. It's crazy work. Attention, you're right. I don't agree with it, but the reality is that look at the job opportunities for those that go through college. Most will make it to the NFL, so NIL is their shot to make money. It is. That's what they're using it for. But man, at what cost? Oh man, incognito, you have to tell people about that 1% chance, bro.
For D2, 1%.
Wow.
Of 8 million high school students in sports, only 7% will play in college.
Wow.
So far, 10 students signed up for Hatcher's Performance Academy. But across town, enrollment at this private sports program is booming. It's not cheap. Parents pay thousands a year at schools like this, but believe the investment program is booming.
Look at these kids. I used to coach Little League for a little bit. And it's one of them things, man, you learn a lot about parents. There will be kids who don't even have the ability to play the sports they've enrolled them in. And the parents will be telling you as the coach, yeah, I want my son to be the quarterback. The quarterback can't even throw the ball. Oh, I want my son to be the wide receiver. The wide receiver can't even catch a cold. I mean, they'll be wanting their sons to have the premier positions. Yeah, I want them to be the running back. Coach Little League basketball. Yeah, I want my son to be the point guard. The point guard can't even dribble the ball. The way people view their children and who their children really are 2 different things. 2 different things, man. I am not surprised that this school across town they're talking about is absolutely booming.
It's not cheap. Parents pay thousands a year at schools like this, but believe the investment is worth it.
Investment? What's the investment? That you're hoping they're going to get to a D1 school and get an NIL deal? This is insanity. It's insanity.
Hopefully when I get to the MLB and I'm making a lot more money than $50K, I'll be able to pay him back.
What? When you get to the MLB, man, I'm telling you, you got to help your children to not be delusional. This is crazy work. Absolute crazy work.
Well worth it. I would do it again in a heartbeat.
So skeptics say, given the odds of making it a D1 or any college sports, kids are better off concentrate, most of them, on academics. On the other hand, Sandra, right, the number one pick in this year's NBA draft, expected anyway, did 8th grade twice. So the point is there are options out.
See, don't even tell children stuff like that. The number one pick in the NBA draft, he said, did the 8th grade twice. You just messed up the heads of a whole lot of parents. Because when they see the number one overall draft pick in the NBA did the 8th grade twice and they see the reward, then they're willing to say, I'm willing to take this chance, because they do look at it as an investment. They're talking about professional sports, NIL money. That's what they're talking about.
Fair for parents who want it. Back to you.
I have so much to say. I feel like people at home probably have so much to say as well. No, I mean, William, this is something parents everywhere are talking about, they're dealing with, and this progression of kids, and you've got these kids being held back, and all of a sudden you've got, 12-inch height differentials with 7th and 8th graders. It's nuts.
Banana bunkers. Banana bunkers. Larry, hold on, let me tell you something, bro. If you've never been a little league coach, bro, you don't ever want to do it. I mean, parents be lined up, bro. Parents be lined up, and you looking at their children, and you can see that there's just certain things they can't do. They're looking at their children. They see Deion Sanders. They see Dak Prescott. They see CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens, Javonte Williams, Walter Payton, Tony Dorsett, Roger Staubach. They're seeing that in their children. And nobody else does. Man, let me tell you something. Man, it goes down in Little League. People be about to fight coaches, man. Let me tell you, it's not for the faint of heart. Man, some of the basketball parents are the worst. Some of the basketball parents are the worst. Man, I was laughing, man. Point guard. Point guard? Man, do you know what a point guard does? And they'll be telling you they'll be telling you what to do. Yeah, my son, I think you need to let him shoot more. Are you not watching the shots he's already taking? We're losing the games because of the shots that he's taking. Man, I'm telling you, it is tough, man. Boy, it is tough when you coaching people's children. It really is. It's tough when you're coaching people's children. Real estate vet said I would have been laughed out of my school if my friends knew I got held back and tried to blame it on sports. Boy, you ain't lying, boy. You are not lying, man. Mr. Get Dirty said it from my experience is always the women. Oh, don't say it. Don't say it. Don't say it. I've seen many a men having to pull their wives back, Mr. Get Dirty. I've seen many a men. Mr. Yankees rule said being competitive and having a drive to get better is one thing, but to get an advantage by holding their children back to gaining edge is a crying shame. They were doing it where we were. Yeah, they were doing it where we were. It was crazy. It was crazy, Bass. It was crazy. Boy, yeah, air balls all day long, Bass. Boy, Who said I coach Little League 2G? I know exactly what you're talking about. Boy, it's crazy, man. People's parents, man, they have visions of sugar plums dancing in their heads. They really do. Anthony Jefferson said that's why the NBA had to stop straight out of high school entering. Yeah. And, you know, I don't have as much of a problem coming straight out of high school per se, because you got to think about what they're doing in college. I mean, the colleges are a part of this too. They're bringing in players that they know are never going to go to class. They got someone else doing their homework. They're bringing them in because college sports is big money. And they want your child, if your child is an elite athlete, they want them playing on Saturdays. Why? Because of the television money. That NIL money that they're paying these players ain't nothing. It ain't nothing. Countryfield said, I'm all for parents helping their kids get to the next level, but not like this. What happened to sitting game takes to a bunch of colleges to get recruited. Man, these college coaches are they are complicit. Demetrius Noel said, and everyone is wondering why China has left us in the dust. It's because of these types of behaviors and thinking. Absolutely no logic behind this. Complete insanity. Demetrius Noel, the only logic is money. They care nothing about the mind. The only goal is money and entertainment. Jabril said, can't make it in the sport and too dumb to get a job. Man, you mess around and blow a knee, it's over with. At Tin Chong, he said it's a part of a bigger problem around baller culture and how we treat athletes as role models. Yes, sir. We pay and consume and enable it. Kids don't see enough of an alternative and also want the fame. Well, you think about it. The people who are the most important, we pay them the least amount of money. And the people who entertain us, we pay them all the money. Bottom line. Bottom line. Boy, in Cognado, you are not lying. Ain't nothing like a parent to think their kid is good. And really, they are really not. I know what you're saying. Yeah. Shoot, Mile High City, boy, you ain't lying. Mile High City said Buddy will be bagging up fries in 5 years. It's crazy. It's crazy. That's all I can tell us. All right, Cowboys fans, man, I hope the content y'all liked it today. I still had a few bullets in the chamber. I'll save some of those tomorrow. Maybe I shouldn't say that on the live stream. But I got some more stories. We'll do those tomorrow. Man, I'm just telling you. It's crazy out there. But on another note, man, I'm excited about the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys are definitely on the right track. I think they're doing a lot of things right. I really do. I think the Cowboys are doing a lot of things right. I think we are going to be so pleasantly surprised in 2026. We just got to stay the course. Cowboys got to stay the course. They are doing exactly what I hoped they would do. A boring offseason. Man, this offseason has got to be one of the most boring Cowboys offseasons that we've probably ever seen. And I'm loving every minute of it. As long as it's not stuff that's detracting from the team, I absolutely love everything the Cowboys are doing. Training camp. Let me run the calendar down real quick. Cowboys are getting ready to start pretty soon. All right, let's look at these key dates before we get up out of here. Cowboys key dates. Looks like the schedule release has already happened. Spring League meeting. Now, next week is when the drama could possibly start. And I'm hoping the drama don't actually start. Mandatory OTAs start, I believe, June 1st. So that should be our first George Pickens sighting. Malachi Lawrence also needs to be signed, if I'm not mistaken, at least by this time. He needs to be signed by the mandatory. So a lot of things should start happening here this week. And then also, we should have our first George Pickens sighting June 1st. Then, of course, July 15th, that'll be the deadline for the George Pickens deal. And then they will announce the Oxnard, California schedule right there in July. And then guess what, y'all? We got football in August. It's going to be preseason, but we're going to have football in August. We're going to have football in August, y'all. And before y'all know it, the Dallas Cowboys season will be on the way, and I'm here for it, and I'm excited. But again, man, I appreciate y'all rocking with me. I'll see y'all again tomorrow if the Lord is willing. But until the meantime, DC4L, God bless. Let's talk Cowboys and we talk facts. Peace.